We've always believed the reefing hobby is built on more than just products. It's built on people, on knowledge, on passion, and on the communities that keep this hobby moving forward. That's why we're proud to announce that Exodus is officially sponsoring the Reefers Network, a community created for reef keepers by reef keepers, bringing hobbyists together, sharing experiences, supporting stores, celebrating the industry, and helping more people succeed in the reef aquarium hobby. We're proud to support the Reefers Network, and we're so excited for what's coming next.
Been up before, now I triple that. I got no time to deal with this or that. Pressure on me, yeah. Been up before, now I triple that. Get that. I got no time to deal with this or that. Get that. Pressure on me, yeah, I never crack. Get back. Sometimes I spend it just to get it back. Get back. Get back. Get. Get back. Get. Get back. Get. Get back. Get. Been up before, now I triple that. Triple that. Pressure on me, yeah, I never crack. Hearing voices in my head, I need to tune them out. Hear from them and never left. I bet they feel me now. On a mission for the best. I gotta dig it out from the start until the end. I'm 10 toes on the ground. Life is hard and that's a fact. I try to keep a smile in any room, don't need to act. I just adapt the crowd, so take a hit and walk it out. Cause it won't take me down. I knew I win without a doubt. I'm who they hear now. Built on grit and pain. Now I feel the gains. I used to point the finger, but it's nobody to blame. But it's nobody to blame. But it's nobody to blame. Been up before, now I triple that. Get back. I got no time to deal with this or that. Get back. Pressure on me, yeah, I never crack. Get back. Sometimes I spend it just to get it back. Get back. Get back. Get. Get back. Get. Get back. Get. Get back. Get. Been up before, now I triple that. Triple that. Pressure on me, yeah, I never crack.
Hello to everyone in the Reefers Network. Happy Friday. I hope you're all having a great week so far, and I hope you're going to have a better weekend. My question is, who's looking forward to the Irish tour? Reefers Network on tour. I cannot wait for everyone to come over. I cannot wait to see who's coming. So put your comments down below in the chat. Who's coming to the Irish tour? Also, side note, Dong, you're my favourite of everyone on this. Cheers.
That's right. We are going across the pond on the 13th of November this year. We're going over to see Dean himself, Irish shrimp guy. Where he's put on, well, it sounds like he's putting on an amazing event, little spread for us. So those of you around the pond, around the UK, around Europe that want to get involved, please do it as a message on Instagram and let us know you want to be involved, and we will add you to the WhatsApp group that we are starting over the next couple of days. Good afternoon. Hello. Here we are. It's Friday again.
Hello, hello. I got to say,
hello.
That beat slaps, man. You're coming in hard with the. I like it.
It's like that. Do you know what? I actually thought that you might be doing a bit of bumping.
Oh, yeah.
I'll send it to you. You and Linz might enjoy that. That's bedroom. That's bedroom material. Anyway, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Hope you're good. Thank you to those of you that have tuned in across the world, wherever you are. It is Friday, as I keep saying. Gloves are off. It's uncensored time. We're going to get a little bit. Well, Dong is, because Dong started to have a bit of a potty mouth the other week. So it's going to have to rein him in a little bit. But I thought, no, let's let him go. Let's see where he goes with it. Yeah. So we have got a few reefing guests scheduled throughout August, should I say? And we have got obviously a few reefing quizzes that we need to pull our finger out, or aka Onion needs to pull his finger out and give us some amazing prizes away that Exodus have been kind enough to donate. But before we do that, we thought we were going to do a little bit of a reefing moan, reefing groan. Now, it's not all going to be reefing bad, though. There are going to be some positives towards it, towards the end. We're going to sugarcoat it towards the end, gentlemen, aren't we? We're going to talk about the things that we do like about the hobby. But we want to get you guys and girls who are watching at home, thank you very much to those who support the network, to sort of messages in what your biggest frustrations, gripes are within the reefing hobby. Because we've all picked our top three, and we're going to go around the table, or should I say around the screen. We obviously want you guys and girls watching at home to get involved. So if you do have any comments or frustrations, please do fire them out. But there will be some controversial topics, I'm sure. No brands, no manufacturers, nothing named. We don't want to fall out with anybody.
Yeah.
But some of us have been in the hobby more than others. I'm sure some of us have faced, more demons, more reefing frustrations, whatever you want to call it, with each other. But to start with, I'll just go straight in and say hello to those of you that have joined us. I mean, there's quite a few star-studded lineup tonight. Gaz is back in. He's on the whiskey. Good evening, Gaz. Bloody good. Gaz, he's with us. So is Tickles. Hello. John Wright's got a new avatar, Big Nuts Reef. There you go, in case you didn't know who he is, aka Big Nuts. Nice to see you last Saturday. John, hope you're good. He's so proud of that. I love it. Yes, I bet it was one of those that somebody tried to get him to get AI to do a different logo, and it just said, this compromises our blah, blah, blah agreement. Cannot do it. So that's the best you can get. But I'm sure you can picture what it would have looked like. Here we are. Pradeep Packing Anther 1099. Hello, everyone. Hope you're good. Hey, buddy. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Jamie's here, obviously. Top right. What else we got in here? K13 Trav. Happy Friday. Trav. 32 here today. 70% humidity.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Ugh.
Ooh, that's sticky.
There'll be some mushrooms and some bacteria growing in some orifices for sure.
Good thing John's not doing those big balls.
Exactly. Tony Close Reef UK. Hello. Who else we got in here? Immers is here. Hope you're good, man. Hope you're good.
Immers.
Tessa's here as well. Evening, folks. Hope you're well. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming last Saturday, mate. Nice to see you. We didn't burn any of the wood. So last year, Terry came to the barbecue we did last August, and he brought loads and loads of wood. He even brought a saw. And it sat on my drive. You may or may not remember this, Jamie, when you've been to my house. It's bags, carry a flat bin bags full of wood inside of the house for months, and we didn't use it. I actually cleaned it all up, stacked it all up, and everybody went home about 8-9 o'clock because the dog wasn't very well. But anyway, she's doing well now. Thanks to those of you that asked. Stephen Owen, nice to see you last Saturday. Hope the frags that I got you are doing well. What else we got in here? Here we are, Sharon and Tommy. So I was talking to Don, Terrell, and Jamie on the WhatsApp group about coming up with 3 reefing hates. And I actually said hats, hence why Don's going to just keep interchanging hats throughout tonight's show. And that is actually fault of Sharon and Tommy, because I was FaceTiming them at the time. There you go, he's just changed again. There you go. This is just a common thing. He's just taking the piss out of me. There we go. First swear word. It is early on. Let's go for it. Reefing Rondo, hope you're good, Reef. Hope you're good, Ron.
Everyone.
Who else we got in here? Hello. Let's have a look. A few more people. Elisa Sa is with us.
Elisa.
Yeah.
Apathy. Oh, you sound muffled.
Tom, you've gone like you're underwater.
Oh, he's back.
Oh,
I'm back.
He's back.
Yeah. We're going to do a rap next year. I've got to come over. We need too much fun. Fun.
Yeah.
Missed it this year. The Big Weed 66. Big Swede? Big Swede 66. There you go. What else we got in here? Ollie's Tank. Hope you're good. Thanks for joining us. Here he is, Deanie Boy. Thanks for tuning in. Alex Ferrara, 5975. Mickey Boy, who's coming up with some really amazing concept frag tanks, which we're going to show on here. And hopefully one will be up for grabs in a few months. So fingers crossed. Watch this space. Truth Chop, nice to see you. Not seen you for a while. So is Timothy. Thanks, Tim. Hope you're good. Nice to see you last Saturday. Didn't get a chance to speak to you much, but yeah, catch up with you soon. Dave's Reef, here he is. Haven't missed anybody. Great White Reef, thank you very much for tuning in. William Schneider, here we are. Thanks for tuning in. Bert FL, here we go. Prime Corals, thank you very much. Dirt Devils Reef, Dave Reef. Have I missed anybody? Not sure. Hopefully not. Oh, we have. Mr. Parry, here he is. Hope you're good, my man. Nice to see you. Rob Upstate New York, I'm assuming that means. 6557.
Yeah.
There you go. Hello, Reefers. Hello, Rob.
Hello.
Hi, Rob.
Tom Frag's still on rack, but still alive. There you go.
Good.
Thank you very much. H4 David, M777.
Hello.
San Diego.
A few new ones here.
Nice.
LT Reefer, thank you very much. A few people talking amongst themselves. Right, it's 15 in the house. Thank you very much to those of you who tuned in. If you haven't already done so, smash the shit out of that like button. It does help the algorithm. We do very much. Yeah, gloves are off tonight. Okay, so as I said a second ago, it's reefing bad. So we wanted, you've got to be a little bit honest tonight. Get the conscience clear. What mistakes have you made? What would you like to talk about and share? Because somebody watching, hopefully, won't make the same fucking mistake that you made. Ideally.
That's the idea.
That's the idea. Anybody want to go first? Anything that sticks in your mind as to like the biggest reefing faux pas you've ever made in your reefing career, or?
Oh, I mean, the biggest faux pas repeats itself all the time, and that is leaving the bloody RO on and flooding the place.
Yeah. Yep.
15 years I've been doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's worse though, the wet floor, or thinking how much resin you just burnt through when you weren't using it?
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, yeah, bit of both. I mean, I've had in the living room, I've put 2 new floors down, and in here, it needs another new floor now. So that probably cost a bit more than a bucket of resin. But
The damage.
hey-ho. It's part, you know, it's the initiation of a reefer, right? You've got to flood your house at least once.
Yeah, we've done it. We've done it.
Yeah.
Good.
I actually think changing the membranes is up there, because I don't know about you guys, but in the UK we have these plastic sort of stencils, you know, the sort of circle with a handle on it, and you've got to get them on the shaft or on the, you know, cartridge, and the amount of times I've ripped the fronts of my knuckles off, trying to take them off. I mean, I don't know whether that's me doing it or that's a common reefing faux pas, but yeah. Changing RO filters is got to be up there with one of my frustrations.
Oh, yeah. I've had the same issues, man. You bang knuckles, and by the time you do it, you scrape right through, and you scrape a whole little layer off your finger. Oh, yeah. That feels great.
And then you put it in salt water, even better.
The salt water ain't bad. Is when you grab torches and hammers, and then they
yes.
oh, yeah. That one feels real good after.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who came up with this one then? So this is the first moan. Who's going to have a moan about this one?
I did.
James, okay. Go on fashion. Go on then.
Right. So
Explain yourself.
This one really does boil my piss. And it is for the sake of it, right? You've got, at the moment, we've gone for the Zoa phase. Now we're in the bounce phase. Everyone wants a bounce mushroom. It's the newest thing.
Yeah.
A year ago, chalices were in. So Raja Rampage chalices, people couldn't get, paying 60 quid for a Raja Rampage that big. A year down the line, can't give it away. But it's one of the nicest corals out there. If people bought with their eyes of what they actually like, that's the main focus. Stop buying the latest name, the latest craze. It does my head in. This time next year, a bounce mushroom, when people realise how quick and easy they grow, they'll be 10 a penny. But at the moment, they're 100 quid because they're the in thing. I just don't get it. You know, if you walk into a fish shop, don't look at the name, don't look at the price, look at what you like, and you'll end up with a beautiful tank, right? Don't buy the names.
I do think there's people that buy on the names though, from an investment point of view, because they're thinking of reefing from an investment. So they'll buy something like Tevil's nodding here and stroking the tash. I think there's some people that will buy things and go, well, if I buy that, then maybe I can get this out of it, or if I get 10 heads of this and chop them all up, I can get that out of it. So I think there is a bit of maybe financial sort of investment business.
Yeah,
sense,
but if you're going to invest in, sorry to jump into it, if you're going to invest in, say, like a Walt Disney Acro because you think I'm going to make a killing out of that, 3-4 years down the line when you've got enough to actually sell a few of them, it might be out of vogue, and the next thing will be in. So you're taking a punt, but look, it's great for retailers to name something like Pokemon's Jizz or something and people buy it. But do you know what I mean? It's like if people fall for it, more fall then. It just does my head in.
It's a sales tactic. I mean, I can see that. You know, and yeah, I laugh at, you know, the example of like bounce mushrooms, because it's always been explained to me like a bounce mushroom was like cancer. So basically, it's just a cancerous bubble, and then either it pops or it can disappear. And you can either, you know, and my thought is that you can kind of, you know, promote a little bit more of that with like higher UV in your lights. I could be wrong about it, but you're essentially damaging your coral to make that bubble come out. And yeah, people put a value on it, and Greg Carroll he says this on his lives all the time on Instagram, but he says coral is only worth what people are willing to pay for it. And it is interesting because the Roger Rampage, it was expensive back in the day, and now it's super cheap. PC Rainbow, Paletta Pink Tips, like all this stuff, people are, hey, I used to pay hundreds of dollars for it back in the day, and now it's worth $30, or you can't give it away. And yeah, man, it is sales tactics. It is a little bit of a trend, but it is I see both sides to it. I see the sale. What do you think, Tom?
I actually do think that reefing is a fashion now.
It is.
To use Jamie's
term.
It
is.
I think reefing is a fashion because I think a lot of the pricing you talked about there is literally down to supply and demand, and a little bit of Instagram, marketing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Because if all of a sudden somebody's got a coral, and somebody makes it look amazing, I'm talking sprinkles it with Disney dust, whatever you want to call it, and it looks absolutely amazing. People, filters, orange, all that stuff, and people go, "Oh yeah, I want that," and there's only one of them or 5 of them. And it's supply and demand. It's like anything, in business. Everything points the price up.
In business, reputation.
Once upon a time, there's one guy. He told me that he collect rare coral, so down the road he can make a killing, and then that's his retirement fund. That's what he said. But I told him, if a coral is rare, you are not getting it. It doesn't even going through the custom. You can assume every freaking coral you get are common. Not on the CITES. There are several tiers of list. If a coral is really endangered, really rare, one just like those peppermint angelfish, no, they are not getting it. Yeah. So you can assume every coral you get in your tank are not rare at all.
Well, my point was on. Let's stick with the Raja Rampage, right? A Raja Rampage. Now I've got one in the tank behind me, like this big. The Raja Rampage today is still as stunning as it was when I bought it 3 or 4 years ago. It hasn't got worse. It's just because the name's not trendy, people aren't buying it, and that's my gripe with it. It's like it's a stunning piece of coral. That would look beautiful on the low light, loving it, around the base of your tank, out somewhere where you've got a space to fill. It's perfect and it's stunning. And what I don't just get why the fashion dictates who wants it or not. If you like it, buy it, right?
I mean, I agree, but I think like the price and the Roger Rampage has it's circulated so much in the hobby, and it's very readily available in the hobby where it does drive the price down, and people they pay more for what they perceive as more rare or harder to get, and trust me, man, even I laugh at it because like I'll admittedly I've done a business experiment where I named a piece something and I priced it something, and I named second piece something and priced it something. And then I kind of just observed what people would do with it. And again, there's nothing that's too different between these pieces, but I like this piece, so I'm going to price it as this, and people pay for it, because maybe sometimes I look at it more valuable. Maybe they find value in it. And then some people just find value in price of things. Like, you ever notice how if you look through electronics, you have a habit of looking towards the higher end of things sometimes because you think that higher price equals more valuable. Yeah. So I think it's a mix of a lot of it.
There is the cycle goes right through though. So if you look at 10 years ago, pink bird's nest was everywhere. Everyone had pink bird's nest growing out the roof of their tank and was throwing it in the bin. Yeah, I've not seen a bit of pink bird's nest for sale for at least 5 years, not in a shop anyway. Like it becomes so common that everyone don't want it and gets rid of it, and then it disappears.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I've just come up with a bit of a wacky idea while we're live. There's a comment here from K13 Trav. Some of the names are insane. Can we have a bit of a theme tonight, Terrell, for the audience to get involved and come up with suggestions of names for your next coral, and you will honor that name and you will name that coral.
Oh, we do all the time. I'm totally down for that because the way we actually run a lot of our sales is if we have a newly released piece, the first person that buys it gets the honor of naming it. So it's just something fun for it makes it people come up with the craziest names too. So it's
have you got any species of coral at the minute that people can, obviously they can't see it because we're live, people can come up with names in the comments?
Oh, there's a few. Yeah, okay. We're always working on, I'm always working on new pieces that I hide and, new releases that, I don't really have selling actively yet, just kind of maybe a little piece here and there. But yeah, no, I do have unnamed that could definitely use a good name.
If
And honestly,
anybody wants to come up with anything imaginative tonight in the comment section, please throw it in there, and we will see what Terrell thinks. And if you, is it fair to say if they name the coral and you go with it, they'll get a frag?
oh yeah, we can work something like that out. We had a good one. Somebody came up with a name for an ACAN, and it was going to be gas station sushi.
That's interesting.
Okay. Well, tonight is uncensored, so it can be creative as anything.
Okay. Yeah, it can literally be. Yeah, all gloves are off. Okay. Okay, but yeah, seriously, if you've got any suggestions for Terrell in the comments, like the tash tickler or whatever you want to call it, then just throw it in. See what we come up with. Okay, coral fashion though. I do think that a lot of it is down to social media. Do you not think, gentlemen?
Yeah.
If you were to take that out of it, you judge corals differently, wouldn't you? You judge it with your own opinion, your own eyes. You go into an LFS, you go, I like that, I don't like that, rather than somebody. I suppose because you know what the algorithms like these days. You look at something for a second, and the next time you scroll down, it's there again, or a different variation, or something else. It's constantly bombarding with information. I think one of my biggest frustrations with coral fashion is that people buy corals that other people think are cool when it might not be what you want. If it's not what you want, don't buy it. Buy what you want. Buy what you want. Buy what you like. And I've chased the names. And I've suddenly gone, hang on a minute. This one ain't named, and I think this one's far nicer than this one, and it's half the price, and it grows so much better, and the colour's better. But marketing, we're all suckers for it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the first one off my chest, anyway.
There we go. Coral fashion. Okay.
I'm seeing a good name come through already.
Oh, well, wait. Hang on. Let's see what we got. Let's have a look. So is this one? Terrell's iridescent tenuous strain called tits. There you go. Well done, Tez. Yes. A bit of fun, I know. But I just thought you could put that on there and see if anybody.
Oh, man. Yeah. So you go to the shop asking for tits.
Fixing the float valve. I keep forgetting to check the valves when I fill it. Need a float valve thing too.
Oh man.
Yeah, the customer standing in the corner talking to Terrell said, "Hey, you have this?"
Yes. Yeah. Hey, I'm looking for some tits over there. You got them?
Oh yeah.
That'll be good. Right, come on, James. Moving on. Next one. Right. You came up with this one. Hobbyist snobbery. Explain.
Yeah. Okay. So you're going through all three of mine, I guess. Right. So I don't like.
I'll mix it. Don't worry.
I don't like any sort of snobbery in this game at all. Right. It can be a high end game, of course it can, but it can be a cheap game. You can have a tank with secondhand gear that looks amazing.
Yeah.
What really grates on me is when sorry Tom, the Red Dragon parade come out. And they shout down the guys with the TMC reactor or whatever it is, and there's a lot of that subliminally goes on in this hobby, especially when you hear people talk like in shops, like customers in shops. So you overhear conversations, and they're just two friends that might be bad mouthing, "Oh, don't buy that; it's a piece of crap," or whatever it is, and the guy at the till was just paying for one, I'm like. I hate that sort of thing. Everyone's got a budget. Everyone's got a tank in mind. Everyone's got different likes. And some people might be starting out and people don't want to talk to the newbies. And you know what? I don't like that. I think everyone's in this together. It's a small enough hobby as it is. So, reefing snobbery.
One thing I've learned though about some of the newbies as well is that I think there's two categories here. You've got experience and you've got knowledge. And I think experience obviously comes with time. The longer you do something, you will make mistakes, you will learn from them, and you will be able to pass that on to other people around you. And sometimes you don't realise how valuable that experience is. But equally, you need the knowledge. Mm-hmm. And there's some new hobbyists that have known more about reefing than I have in terms of the sort of the technical textbook aspect. And I found it brilliant. And I think it depends on who you are, because I think I encourage it, because if somebody wants to really nail or dive into a certain category and get sort of, balls deep, or you want to call it, in a certain, reefing topic, there's nothing wrong with that. Just because somebody's been doing it 20 years doesn't mean that somebody doing it 2 years isn't going to come up with something new or have a different opinion on something. I think it's healthy for the hobby. I think we should encourage it, personally. And I think that's where the snobbery maybe comes in. It's almost like, well, I've been doing it. How many times do you hear, well, I've been reefing 25 years and I've been doing this.
It's
just
ego.
like, really? It's just like, what's it matter?
There's so much ego in this hobby, man. And that's, you know, that kind of goes into one of my points. And I think it kind of feeds in, you know, there's a lot of ego in this hobby and a lot of people get into it. I mean, and it's the world too. There's ego in the world, and no matter what hobby or business or anything, you know, people are people, but you know, everybody gets into this hobby. They're always looking at somebody else's tank. They're always comparing themselves to somebody else's stuff. And I think you know, a lot of people need to focus more on themselves. And I think that's the healthier way to go about it. You know, focus on your own reefing journey. But I also think social media has a very big drive in that, where like we were talking about the influencing. I feel like people will everybody, let me rewind. Everybody wants to be heard in the world. Everybody wants to, you know, they see us on here doing, you know, we're essentially influencing. People are listening to us. You know, people talk about things that we say, subjects that we bring up. And people, I think I always say it like this because TikTok is a lot of what we see is, I think some people look to the internet for purpose and community, whereas when they don't have it at home sometimes, and they start hyper focusing on the internet and then they want to be heard too. They want to be seen too. And they want to be somebody in the reefing community. And I think that brings up where people lose track of what they're doing and why they're doing it. Like to the snobbery, I've seen people make personalities out of shitting on people. You know, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's no reason to do that. You can teach, you can educate, you can bring things to the forefront of people's minds, but you don't got to shit on people for it. And I think where, you know, people start kind of, you know, they put themselves in the importance of where they are in the hobby, and I'm somebody, and, you know, you got to listen to me. And that's not how it needs to be, man.
Yeah, it can be about anything as well, not just like equipment and stuff and fish, but tank size is a big one. You know, if you could be talking to a fellow reefer for half an hour about all things fish, 100%. And then one guy will say to the other one, "So what tank have you got?" And the other guy's like, "I've got a Red Sea Max Nano," and the guy's like, "Oh, come and talk to me when you've got at least a 4 foot." And it's like, why are you like that? Like,
my wife says reefing is literally, excuse my language here, it's just a cock off. It's all blokes going, mine's bigger than yours. That's what Kat says all the time. Mine's bigger than yours. Mine's better than yours. Mine's faster than yours. It's like why people go out, midlife crisis, and get a sports car. It's all about that sort of endorphin, that ego, that egotistical sort of, you know. But go back to the snobbery, though. I genuinely know people who've been in a hobby a couple of years, and their knowledge is just brilliant. But they haven't got the experience. But I think by having the knowledge to then go through their period of reefing, they will have much better success because they've got the knowledge. Whereas I think a lot of people will go with, you know, they'll follow the trends, maybe they'll make their own route. And I think sometimes, I know we're talking about snobbery here, but I do think there's a balance between experience and knowledge in this game. I think you've got to 100%. Get balance too.
100%, you know, and I see that too, man. I see young reefers that, you know, get into the books and old reefers that, you know, I've heard it so many damn times. You know, I've been in the hobby 25 years, and I'm like, damn, man, it don't look like you've been in the hobby for 25 years. Like, and I ain't trying to be mean, but like, you know, I guess I always look at like this hobby is so easy to, you know, the work you put in is the work you get out. So if your tank looks like, you know, if you put shit in, you get shit out. You know, and that's where maybe I'm making a wrong judgment because not everybody is going to reef the same way as me, and maybe not everybody with the same level, the same knowledge base. Maybe somebody's much smarter than me and has much more experience, and they really don't give a shit about growing this kind of stuff.
Well, you've just to be fair, Cyril, you have just said something that I was going to mention. How often do people say, when it comes to especially newbies, you know, not knowing who to look to or who to listen to in terms of influence, it's look at somebody else's, look at their tank. You know, the amount of people I know, you know, in the years I've been doing it, and I just cringe because I'm just like, I don't even really go on Facebook groups these days for this exact reason, because somebody will put a question on, and I'm just going, oh God, this is not going to end well. And because you just know within the blink of an eyelid, there's going to be 20 different, like sort of not condescending, like contrasting bits of information, or you know, somebody's not going to know who to listen to, and people just go, this hobby is like way too much. And to be fair to John, he just put a great comment in here. John writes, snobbery in equipment. I mean,
yeah. So
you
say
said
the Red
Jamie,
Dragon.
about the Red Dragon. Yeah. Hey. Did him.
Yeah.
Did him. Not again.
But you're dead right about the Facebook thing, right? So I'm an old school Ultimate Reef sort of viewer. I go on there as a sort of what's it called? Like I'm pretty silent on there. I sort of dip in and dip out of it. Ultimate Reef is brilliant because there's threads for everyone. You go on a Facebook group and there's always some cock end of an admin that jumps in and berates people and shuts people and chucks people out the group if they're doing something different. And it's like, just piss off.
Yeah. I'll give you a really good example, and it kind of there's a gentleman that we're friends with, and one of our clients on TikTok, and he had a little bit of money. He's followed the reefing hobby for years and years, and he did all his research up front, and he had money, and he spent money on his tank. He spent money on his equipment, on his lights, and he put his journey up on which a lot of people won't do. And he showed people the good, the bad, and how many people I saw go in there and just dookie all over him and what he's doing, and miss the fact that this man is willing to put his failures up there as well as his successes. And all anybody's focused on is what he's doing, how he's doing it, the equipment that he has. And it's just, there's no point in doing that, man. Like, again, I respect the guy for actually putting up his failures and saying, hey, man, I screwed up. This is how I did it. Because there's other reefers that are learning from that in the process. But all people can think about is, telling him he did something wrong.
I'll never forget that phrase. All the gear, no idea.
Yep. And I can't even. I can look at it like this, and I could say, with the snobbiness with reefing equipment, and I could say this: some people enjoy the hobby for corals. Some people enjoy the hobby for the equipment and the tinkering and the processes. And so, like, I look at it as like, you can have a banging, sports car, that's going to go super fast. You did a bunch of work under the hood, but somebody that you're comparing yourself to is taken to the next level. They're putting all the chrome in their engine. They're spending all the money to make it look nice. They enjoy doing that. So that itself is a hobby in itself. So, but everybody just gets kind of wrapped up on, well, you don't need to spend that kind of money to have a successful reef tank. It's like, yeah, no shit, but I want to spend the money to do this because I want to enjoy the hobby how I want to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's true.
I can throw a bit of a spanner in the works as well with that analogy. And that's like saying that they have this amazing motor car and it's all chrome under the hood, as you call it in America, and then they put really shit gas in it. A bit like not doing a water change or putting really shit salt in your reef tank. Just saying.
Yep. But hey, you know what? I'm sorry, you go.
Yeah, I think this exists in every hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is very common, and that's part of the hobby. And for example, that I'm into the photography hobby. Oh my goodness, you can see those people on YouTube. Oh my goodness. Oh, your camera has a smaller sensor than mine. You're crap. See, my lens is bigger than your lens. So oh my god. So
I'll give you this one. We have a client that she just buys coral on there, but she happened to put up a post for a rib roast that she did. And it's, it was her third time she's ever made a rib roast. The amount of people that were giving her garbage and just, oh, you shouldn't cut with this knife, and oh, you put mustard on as a binder, and like, yo, let the chick make her freaking rib roast. What the hell?
100%.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, exactly. You're not eating it; she's eating it.
No, you are right about every hobby, but the only reason I bring it up for this is our hobby is small, right? We're here, right? Our hobby is so small that we have friends transatlantic who have the same interest because there's not enough over here to talk to 24/7. It's a small hobby and it still exists. Just on one thing though, Danny said this: no one should be judged on what they choose to buy for their reef. If Danny could show you the last thing she bought for her reef, I think we would judge her a little bit. And for those of you that haven't seen it,
I didn't know that AAC was working in partnership with Pulse and Cocktails, Jamie.
No, that's it. This is it. But with clientele like Danny Smart, they are.
Okay. who incidentally is coming to the Dublin meet, I do believe, the Dublin tour. I hope so.
Yeah,
and that's good.
Only joking, Danny. It's great.
Right, we're going to move on. I think we've exhausted reefing snobbery. I think we've got hobbyist snobbery. I think we've got a bit off our chest there. Oh, I'm going to say, Don, time for another hat. There we go. Refund. There he is. His hat. Right, let's pick another one from. We got in here. Let's go. Yeah, I'll go with mine. Useless algae. This really pisses me off. You've got so many tanks, and I've got nowhere near as many tanks as Terrell, but I've got enough within the garage, the DT, this. Yeah, nuisance algae, it's got to be up there because it's just the time. People don't realise because you watch these videos, you go, oh, I'd love to bigger tank, I want more corals because you get the Pokemon feeling, you want to collect them all, and you see you buying them all, and you get. And I mean, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go. I'm actually going to go. Bryopsis is up there with my pet hate.
Mhm.
I hate it. I hate it with passion.
So do all
You
the
remove
critics.
it, you remove it, you pull it off, you scrape it off, and it just goes, comes back with like 24 hours later, and just, yeah, it's got to be up there. I know you can use, fluconazole, you can use a treatment, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's just not necessary. It's just frustrating. One of my pet hates. So, anybody else want to tell on nuisance algae or?
Yeah, because every pest has got a predator, except Bryopsis.
Yeah, true.
Well, some urchin did it.
Yeah, and fox faces.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
Foxface
that's-
work on it pretty well.
urchins,
Yeah.
in my experience, don't eat it. They just pick it up and drop it off everywhere else.
Yes, that's
Huh.
what I've had. That's what I've had.
Yeah,
And I don't know about you, but you know when you pull nuisance algae out, it's got pods on it, and you see the pods. This is gonna sound really lame. You see the pods like obviously scuttling around. Do you not feel it in your heart that you've got to save those pods rather than throw them away?
Shake them off.
So I shake them off. I'm like, no, you can't die. So I shake them off, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Before I know it, I'm just like, I'm saving pods and not my. Yeah. Anyway.
And then bits of Bryopsis are breaking off and floating away as you're doing it.
And it sucks too with the bryopsis though, like that being a subject. It's like once you got it, you gotta handle it, because if you don't handle it, or if you don't handle it correctly, it's just gonna keep coming back, and it's, you're right, it does become like a day-to-day fight that you start messing with this stuff.
yeah,
like
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
hours and time.
And it's these things that, and again, I'm on no way scale as you and Don.
Oh, even one tank is too much.
I've got the frag farm in the garage. I've got the DT downstairs, the SPS DT downstairs, which fortunately is all right. But the garage, it is literally, with the T5s, it is a constant fight. It is literally like, I was saying this to somebody the other day, my weekends, like I thought, having the coral farm in the back, on a weekend I'd be like fragging corals, cleaning the glass, doing all the cool things. No, getting rid of algae. Just getting rid of algae. It's like a full-time job.
But at some point you gotta, like, I do the same thing where I'm like, I try to not dose that kind of stuff, and then I finally hit this point where I'm like, I fight it for so long, I can't get on top of it. It's starting to become an issue, and then I will say the thing with the flux, with the fluconazole, is I've bombed out a lot of my stuff before, but there was a reason behind it. So like when I had a whole bunch of bryopsis and hair algae and everything growing in there, and I didn't remove the excess before, understanding that once I dosed the fluconazole, it starts killing all that algae, and all that algae releases everything back into the water column. So I had a major brown out of all my SPS. I had a bunch of shit die off because it just totally spiked my phosphates. And I was so scared to use it again. But then the next time that I finally came around, a couple of years later, and I had to use it, it was much less, and I didn't see that same brown out like I did. But then I had the understanding, I'm like, okay, well, I probably should have removed the excess, and I didn't have the excess phosphates that were dying off, but it was able to kind of knock out that little last remaining, shit that was hanging on that I couldn't eat out pretty much.
I found with bryopsis, my most success I've had is manually removing it and then getting a really hard sort of brush and then brushing it off, but then trying to capture that at the same time. That's worked, but it's been a gradual process. Go on, Don.
So in terms of fluconazole, so Taro, are you dosing the recommended dose on the label? Actually, I think that if you dose 1/4 of that dose, it still works.
Okay.
But less side effect because then no medication is single targeted. So every medication hit multiple organism, multiple pathway. Just one is more than the other. So the dosage of fluconazole coming from that Reef HD bottle. Since we are uncensored here, so that dosage pull out of somebody's behind have absolutely no scientific basis for that dosage. For matter of fact, that dosage is trying to sell more fluconazole than you need it. Try 1/4 of those, 1/5 of those.
And there's no risk of resistance build up then at low dose?
No. There's no resistance to build up yet because the pathway, the biological pathway is well understood now. So you targeted a special enzyme that only the algae process, but not the coral. But your sponge or something else might also have those kind of enzyme, might get heat. So when you lower the dose, and so your side effect may be less. And also that, just like cancer drug, there's no single targeted cancer drug. There's one drug always hit multiple target. So the good target, bad target, they hit it simultaneously. We just don't know about it. Just like for fluconazole. Now we understand what the mechanism that why you kill the algae, but there are tons of stuff we do not understand. And also, of course, that your fungi is going to die because it's antifungal medication. So when you dose too much and then you kill off a lot of fungus, and then those also release a lot of nutrient in your tank, or some biological pathway, essential pathway to neutralize your waste has been broken. Yeah, so don't trust that dose. Try 1/5 of dose or 1/4 of the dose. If it works, just dose like that. That dosage has absolutely no scientific basis for that dose.
Interesting. Well, the thing that we've done that, we've dosed stuff with fluconazole, we've killed our Bryopsis. To carry on Tom's point about nuisance algae, you do that, and then ulva or something else will start to come in. There's always another nuisance algae that will just come. Bubble algae. Yeah.
Well, unless you do not introduce any new coral or new rock or whatever, if you introduce new coral, new rock, even a tiny pebble, you will get algae going there again.
Yeah.
They hitchhike just in tiny fracks.
So
a little bit.
Is your basis of nuisance algae as a pet hate in a frag system where you've got individual plugs covered in it, and it's the maintenance, the laborious tasks?
Yeah, I think one thing that I really did overestimate when I did the garage, and you've obviously been up here a couple of times, Jamie, you've seen it, is just the time it takes to keep on top of things. You know, you've got a 3-foot tank, 4-foot tank. You do a water change on a weekend. You go to the LFS. You buy a coral, whatever you feed fish. It's all happy times. But you want to try and take it to the next level, the next level, the next level. There's so much time that is required, and like literally cleaning, getting a blade and scraping the nuisance algae off a plug, off especially an SPS, an acropora, so it can puddle out, you can base out on the plug properly. It's just so time consuming. It's just nuisance algae can be just so frustrating because I cut the frags from my SPS tank downstairs and I put them under one tray in one of the tanks, and one of the tanks in the garage has got pretty much 90% of my fish. So they're all tangs, bristle-tooth tangs. They're all, algae-eating tangs. And they'll do the best. But then they'll go into another tank where I've not got so many fish. And I know people go, you need to add more fish. That'll help the problem. But it kind of doesn't work. And then literally within a few weeks, like, boom, algae just appears.
Actually,
there's another job. I've got another weekend of cleaning algae. It's all it is.
One thing, when you have this problem, one thing you need to look into is your trace element dosing, especially iron. Because that coral does need iron, but coral only need a small amount, limited amount. So, for example, that when they take enough, they don't need any more. But iron is known to be iron limited, which means the more iron you pump in there, the algae unlimited, just based on how much iron available, it just explode. That's well studied.
It's not as bad as it was a few months ago, but it's just what I'm trying to say is it's like most people who have got a tank like I said a second ago, they'll do a water change, they'll clean the skimmer, they'll filter floss, whatever it is, filter sock, feed the fish, everything's great. Do a normal 9 to 5 job. But when you've got such a large volume of water with so many corals, it's just a constant battle. If something's too high or too low, especially nutrients, you've got a massive fat in your hands with algae, which is why it's one of my pet hates, because it's the time it takes to manually remove it.
Yes.
That's what I'm sort of getting at.
On the bright side, those algae actually saving your reef from crashing, because they took out the excess nutrient and organic material, so the water is clean. That you won't it's actually a pollution prevention, even though you have to pull those algae out, but they save your reef. Without those algae there to suck up all this junk or organic pollution in the water, your coral going to die.
Yeah. And on the bright side, Tom, we had a nice social.
Yeah, the bright side is that algae is saving your day.
Yeah, but if you want to sit there on a Saturday afternoon when you've been at work all week and scrape 500 SPS frags, and I'm talking literally 500, which it takes, it's not.
Oh,
anyway.
I know
actually,
that
when you scrape that plug, it doesn't do much to the algae. So you can scrape them off, but there are a little bit of pieces that you cannot see are still on the plug. Then you grow right back. So the way I handle it is that periodically I just chop the coral off the plug and totally replace the plug. Yes. Okay. Yep. When I see a plug that's growing algae, I chop the coral off the plug, regrew to a brand new, not a new plug, but then I recycle those plugs. But by doing that, I put all the old plugs in boiling water to boil for 10 minutes.
Yeah, but then what if you put it back on the rack and the rack's covered in algae?
The rack! I replaced the rack. So what happened is that I have I just take the rack with algae out and put the same rack in. So that's why I have spare rack. So I put them. Then I take this algae infested rack and boil them. For some of the plastic one that cannot be boiled, I soak them in about 90 degrees Celsius water, because some of the 3D printed rack, when the water temperature hit 100 degrees Celsius, they warp, they melt. But keep them at 90 degrees, just let it soak there for half an hour. That kill off whatever remaining algae that embedded on the resin. If you just scrape them off, you always come back. I think to treat those surface.
I think also too, you gotta treat the main imbalance that you got in your tank too, because I get it where I've been in there where I've had racks and racks of acros, and I have an algae bloom in there, and it's getting to the point where it's growing on the plug so much and it's starting to irritate my acros. I get in there, and I've done the same thing. I've scrubbed, I've had to scrub every bit, but I'm basically buying myself time to fix the main issue of what's going on and that's causing it. So it's like, it sucks because it's like you're just trying to fix your imbalance though.
But I also think though, without cheating it, if you've got an acro that's on a, I don't know, let's just say 10 mil plug diameter, whatever you want to call it, as soon as that acro has got to the majority, it's pulled out the majority of that plug, it's not going to be bothered about the algae. Right. It's going to outcompete it almost. It's going to push it out if you're manually removing it on top of that. What I'm saying is when you first put it on and it starts to grow around it, especially to plugs that you haven't maybe soaked, brand new plugs that haven't been soaked properly, that's when you start to have a lot of problems. And I've experienced that as well. So I think that you're saying about boiling stuff down, I think another thing is you told me about soaking them in, in with the live rock and, before you use them. Definitely no brainer.
There is some plugs are made by ceramic. Depends on what types of ceramic they use on that plug. Some of the ceramic actually has a lot of silicate, aluminum, whatever, iron, whatever mixed in. So that also plus the new surface, it actually promoting algae growth. Scrubbing is really difficult to get rid of algae. You basically have to boil the plug. And also I have this interesting tank, and then so a tank that with many yellow tang in it, plus fox face, plus other tang. So if the algae growing on the frag plug or the coral base are the one that the fish like to eat, I just take that thing and put it into that tang infested frag tank. Yeah, seriously, I can see them immediately swam over that piece, and
that's what I've started doing. I've started taking the frags that were in this tank 3 months while they puddled out and based out. And they go to this tray under the C5. I see myself moving them back. But the problem I've got then is that the fish are sort of like a little bit spoiled because they go, oh, I don't eat these vegetables because I get meat and whatever in 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
They're waiting and they're just going, yeah, I'll have a go. So even though I have all these tangs, which is great, I still see myself removing them all the time. But anyway.
Yeah, you feed your fish too well. So if they're eating filet mignon, they're not going to touch the salad.
There's a few comments here I'm going to throw out, gentlemen, before we move on to the next topic. Abs Reef, will citric acid kill algae?
No, it won't.
There you go.
Well, if you take the plug and soak them in citric acid for 2 hours, maybe. But in that case, why not just boil it? Guarantee.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 minutes of 100 degrees Celsius water.
When you're saying boil it, you're talking RO water, tank water, fresh water?
Oh, just fresh water. Just get a. I have aluminum pot.
Okay.
Yeah, aluminum pot. I just put the plug in, fill it with tap water, and boil for 5 minutes.
Is that the same pot you make your pot roast in, Don?
Oh, here we go. What have you got to start now? Here we go.
It's going to show us his steak.
Yeah, let me show you. This is my pot with a flag plug in it. That's what it is. This is a newly boiled pot of flag plug. They're all old flag plugs. I love them because that the older one actually they holds better with super glue gel. The new one, nah. And also, yeah. So put them in, fill with water, boil, cook them.
How
then
long
you kill
for?
everything. Huh?
How long for?
Whoops. Uh-oh. 5 minutes. Yeah, the chair is not helping me. Well,
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5 minutes is more than enough.
Oh, he's swapping his hat.
For matter of fact, just 1 minute should kill them. But 5 minute boiling. So you can see that they come out bone white. And also see the disc. Yeah. Yep. So even though it's a little bit green, but it's totally dead. So that's boiling water. The magic boiling water.
But get your own saucepan. Don't take one from the kitchen that your wife's using. Okay.
Bad.
Yeah. Well, with that said, actually, Tom, let me tell you this story.
Oh, here we go. And
you see this thing? That's my blender for blending frozen food, the homemade frozen food. Okay. Every time I use it, I clean it, I hide it somewhere. So several days ago, I went upstairs in the kitchen. My wife is blending something. She said, "Hey, I found this blender. It works really great." I was like, "Oh no!" Of course, the smoothie doesn't taste that well.
Anyway, okay. Right, I feel like we've talked enough about nuisance algae. Right, okay. Where we're going to go? Right, let's go this one. Washing filter socks in washing machines. Whose is that one? Terrell's. Go for it.
So I mean, I used to do that, and then Lindsay would have no more of it when we got a new washing machine, and rightly so, because when you actually think about like how nasty those filter socks are, and then if you only have one washing machine, if you're running your clothes with it,
no.
Yeah. So I don't do filter socks anymore.
Is that where the name of Poo Tang Reefs came from?
It's when he puts his face on the pillow and he just smells this sort of algae sort of DOC.
You know, it's always random smells in the house. It's either algae or, you know, it's skimmers or dog farts that smell like skimmers. So yeah.
Now you're just blaming the dog.
No, dude. Well, I could blame the dog, but no, there's plenty of times where, like, literally we'll be sitting there on the couch watching TV and I smell, I'm like, all right, something smells like it's overflowing, and I'll go look through the whole house and no skimmers overflowing, but it's just, you know, Frank laying right there. So
Must be a reefing dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, okay, so if you're still using filter socks, then back to that. If you're still using them, what do you do to clean them? Do you just dispose them, or do you just hand wash them, or have you got roller mats instead? Or
honestly, I don't use them anymore. But what I did start doing afterwards is I just took them outside and I just hosed them out with. I put a little carbon filter on my garden hose. That way, it just kind of cleans out a majority of the nasty stuff, and then just hosed out the sock, and then made sure it was somewhat looking white, and then threw it back in the tank and let it ride. So easy peasy without having to run bleach and everything else.
Yeah. So when you did wash them through the washing machine, obviously there's no detergents involved. Was it just a hot wash, and that's all you did?
No, we would run it with bleach. So I'd run it with a round of bleach. You know, just pour them in there, dump a whole bunch of bleach in. I would run it on a hot cycle, and then I would run about 2 more rinse cycles after that. That way I would run it still with hot water, so it would rinse them out, run another with hot water, rinse them out, and then I would kind of throw it back in. And you could even tell sometimes, even like, you know, you would throw it back in and you could tell the skimmer would kind of start, you know, acting up a little bit, you know, sensing what's ever in the water. So I've moved away from the filter socks since then. And plus, you know, now I just do filter floss, and I can just roll it up and toss it in the trash, and it's cheap enough. So
That's what I do.
Yep.
That's what I do.
Disposable.
Don't you be given a name here for a new coral suggestion? Dom's coral.
I like these. We're gonna have to come back.
Just incidentally though, Terrell, how many filter socks we're talking about? Because I'm assuming there must be a lot for you to get to a point where you go, I need to chuck these in the washing machine to, you know, save time. Or
I mean, we were getting to the point where it was, you know, 4 per tank, and then if you're looking at that, you know, that's once a week if I'm being diligent on it. And, you know, so it's 12 filter socks a week. And then I'm not gonna, you know, I'm kind of lazy sometimes, so, you know, I'm not going to try to do one round of wash every week. I'll try to, you know, stretch it out to 2 weeks to try and just kind of knock it out in one day. But it just kind of became this thing where it was more complicated to do it, rather than just, again, get a strip of filter floss and toss that shit in the garbage can afterwards. Because, you know, as much as I realized too, like, that stuff stank. There is a bunch of nasties in there. And then I still think about them like, I'm putting that in my washing machine, and I used to, and it's just unsanitary. You know, and I've heard I had a buddy tell me one time, you know, he washed a skimmer in his bathtub, and his wife ended up taking a bath afterwards, and she got a UTI because of the bacteria. So
no kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, he didn't sanitize it correctly afterwards. So it's just, you know, simple stuff like that. I mean, I used to do dumb stuff, and I would go take it and wash it out in my, you know, my sink, because I didn't have a slop sink before, so it was the kitchen sink, or it was outside. Yeah. So you know, I started thinking about, like, there's a lot of bacteria that we're messing with, and, you know, we don't treat it the same as in the same seriousness as we should sometimes. So kind of. Starting to make the sanity, you know, more sanitary in the way of working around here.
No, you're dead right. There's a sinister reason behind it. Is you know, sanitization and health, isn't it? So,
yep.
Yeah. I mean, I say all this, and I wash my skimmer cup out in the sink that my kids brush their teeth in. So that is not good, is it? Right.
Right.
But
I mean,
you know, I clean it up. I've got my own toothbrush at least.
But you know, like I said, the story about the UTI, I wouldn't have expected that. I'm thinking, you know, you're just hosing it out in the bathtub, and, you know, I guess there's so much, you know, excess, you know, bacteria that was chilling in there and was able to maintain. And when she took a bath, and got a UTI.
Sounds like an easy excuse for her to give, though. I'd be still asking questions.
Exactly. Which bathtub?
I blame the tank.
No, Dom. It wasn't which. It was whose bathtub. Right, moving on. I think this one's for you, Dom.
Okay.
Shipping coral.
Yep, I hate shipping coral. One thing is this anxiety attack. Because that I do not price my coral several times over. That means that if a shipment lost, is a big hit for me. Okay.
Yeah.
So some vendor price their coral like they can ship you 3 times, 4 times, still make plenty of money. Okay. I don't do that. So that is anxiety, number one. Second thing is that after COVID, FedEx and UPS, the 2 primary carrier in US, they're highly unreliable.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that there's a trick about insurance. If you pay for insurance in US, if you pay for UPS or FedEx to insure your package of coral, it actually is invalid because yes.
Really?
Double check the fine print. It says no live animal. Okay, coral and fish are considered live animal. Even you pay for the insurance, it's not insured. So actually, I remember that saying from Tidal Garden. He was talking about the shipping coral with insurance. He have to purchase separate insurance for his livestock.
I don't know if this applies to you over there. Over in the UK, we use a company called APC who do most of our livestock shipping. And you can pay up, I'm 95% sure, you can pay for insurance on that. And that insurance, you're right, doesn't cover live on arrival or livestock. It does, however, cover damage in transit.
Yeah.
So if they break the box, your insurance covers it. But they don't cover
in US, even your package blow up after they kick it like a football, it's almost impossible to collect any money. They're going to drown you with the paperwork, and they would drag along. They never pay up.
I 100% agree. I don't have a shipping coral, right, is not an issue because how does the coral get here in the first place, right? It's shipped over. It's boxed and flown over from the wild, for Christ's sake. What I don't like about it is not the vendors and not the farms or whatever, but it's the shipping companies. They've got no respect for what is in those boxes.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, even if it's like a glass tank they're shipping, they turn up broken. So what are they doing to a live animal? They just don't care. They really don't care.
And also that in US that it probably is set up differently in UK because the US is a much big country. So like FedEx or UPS, they have this hub going on. For example, if I ship a package from Boston to Florida, you will think that the package will go straight down. No, they flew to somewhere in the middle of the US and flew back to Florida.
Louisville for UPS, and I forgot
exactly.
I forgot where the other one is for FedEx. But
then you have to check the weather in that hub to make sure that there is So basically, there's no guarantee or whatsoever.
We've had issues of like we one time we shipped 13 packages out, and it goes, we drop it off at the UPS store, it goes to the local hub in our city, and then goes out to West Palm Beach, which is the bigger city, and then to Louisville, and then hubs out to anywhere else. Well, we watched it go to the local city hub and didn't go anywhere else. So we're calling around. So what happened was they pulled 13 packages to the side. They inspected one of them because I could see where there was it was like brake dust, like somebody had it like oil all over their hands, and they had opened up my package and then put it back together. So they must have pulled all 13 packages, inspected one, and then left them in a room. And we had to actually call up to the place. Yeah. And they oh yeah, here they are. They're just in this room to the side. No reason. Or we had another one where it was another, there was a handful of packages that went out, and they all went out in the same thing, same place, but they literally put 2 packages off to the side that were just sitting outside a truck that never made it on.
So I've got in here though. But if you worked in a packaging station, you like undoing presents, don't you? You are that kid at Christmas that asks that there is never enough boxes to undo. You want to look at what's inside everybody else's parcel, even though it's not addressed to you.
What's this? I do. It is funny. People people are so interested when they see us like walk into the, we're dropping off at the UPS store. They know us there now, but it definitely catches people's attention when you walk in with 13 boxes and you're dropping them on the floor, and they're looking like, what do you got in there? Oh, coral, Yeah. Oh. But you're right. They don't care, Dong. Like that. I watched the first time we dropped them off there. There's a guy, he took our package, and from, about three feet up, he just literally threw it on the floor. And I looked at him. I said, there's animals in there, right? And he I said, yeah, you might want to be careful with that. And of course, that package showed up, popped. So
yeah, because as soon as you walked out of it, just it across the warehouse.
Bam.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Remember that guy? Bam.
I even get questioned when I take my ICP to the post office, and the girl behind the counter, oh, what's in the package, sir? I'm like, just a water sample. Which is like, oh, is it medical? Because that can't. I'm like, no, it's just a water sample. Like, there's nothing in it.
Jamie, you should say, yeah, I've just pissed on it. Pissed in it in the car park.
Yeah, and it's still warm.
Still warm. Yeah, it's still warm.
Oh my God.
There's a couple of call suggestion names for you here, Tell. Sharon Tommy saying Reefers Tang Inferno.
That sounds good.
I like it.
Oh, Reefers Network. Holy Dong.
Holy Dong.
Oh my God. Holy Dong. So one time I was at the UPS office. Actually, this is not reef related, okay? Because we are unhinged today. So I was there, and I see a gentleman holding a square box and put it in a counter. Is that medical specimen or something like that? Put it there. Mm-hmm. And then the girl on the counter looked at it and said, what exactly is it? And the man said, my poop. What? Because that's a colon cancer screening kit. The girl just drop it. Oh my God.
I can look, if we're unhinged, I'll tell you one personal anecdote. Is in the UK, we've got a new service now with the NHS where last year, I don't care about this, I had a vasectomy last year, and now you have to send your post sample by post to be screened if it's still alive or dead. And as I was handing over the bag at the counter, oh, what's in it, sir? I don't know. No, nothing.
I don't know. I don't come here often.
No idea.
Literally,
you don't want to inspect it. You should have told him it was Jamie's special sauce.
Literally, come in a jiffy. That was what it was.
Yeah. Jamie's special hot sauce.
On that note, another call name has been come up with is Reefing Teeth Bite Me. There you go.
Oh, that is a good name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sharon, I'll see you in Ireland. Mm.
On a serious note, there, question for you: do you guys ship with stickers saying live animals?
Yes. Yeah, we do. We put stickers on there now, and it says, caution or handle with care, live animals on it. So,
but it's invisible. So that those label is totally invisible to all the employees of the shipping company.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care. They don't look at it.
Yeah.
Reefers Network Glow Job. Coral name from Prime Corals is Otter's Pocket. And a few people are saying that Holy Dong is the one. That should be used. Holy Dong.
Oh my
Holy
God.
Dong.
Well, stay clean, okay? Stay PG.
This is gonna make
actually, that's a real story. Okay, I'm going to tell you a real story about coral name.
Oh.
So many years ago, there's a zoanthus. Some guy on Reef Central, remember those old days? Named the zoanthus Orgasm. Okay. And that zoanthus actually show up on live aquaria. Then they have to change the name. They cannot put that name on the live aquaria.
On the live aquaria, yeah.
Yeah, so that they change it to organism. I said, what the heck is this name?
Oh, I mean, dude, we've dealt with it before too, Don. With our name, we've dealt with issues with big forums that I will not name, but they, you know, and I laugh because, you know,
It starts with R and end up with R.
yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's you know, it goes back to this thing with that issue. It's like people pick and choose when they want to get, you know, up in arms about issues like that.
Yeah.
And it's really silly because, you know, the people that make an issue about it are making an issue that should never be an issue in the first place.
But on that form, there is a reason for that. Because that form, first of all, is a private company.
Yeah.
Second thing is founded by a pastor. That is what it is.
Now, I will say to that is them being a private company, the way that they handled themselves was probably the most unprofessional way I've seen a professional company handle themselves. And they could have handled it in a lot better way that probably would have benefited themselves and, you know, the whole situation all the way around. But, you know, I'll just leave it at that. It was handled very incorrect.
It's a religious organization, so
yeah, you know, into that I could see that, but also I've also seen the standards on that site. Again, pick and choose where it wants to be applied to, and I know people that are on that site that if said person is a pastor, then he should have an issue with these people and what they've done. But those people are allowed to be on there and do what they do. So again, it's a weird conundrum. But I agree. Hey, you know what? Private company, do what they want.
Company do what they want. Yeah.
But I always say, as a private company and being in a social media space, own what you do. And if you do what you do, just own it in a professional space, even if it is backlash. So is what it is.
Expect the backlash.
Don't tell. One thing I want to ask you guys, you obviously shit calls quite often. When it comes to postage and working out the costs of it, where do you go with that? Because in the UK, Jamie, I don't know why you jump in here, by all means, but I always feel that some people that sell corals online always try and maximize a bit on the shipping, maybe. I always feel like it's trying to sneak an extra £5 out of you or a few quid for shipping.
Shipping's expensive, dude.
Shipping is expensive. Yeah.
That's why they call. I'm just throwing it out there.
Shipping and handling, the handling part, right? Shipping and handling. It's not just shipping. It's shipping and handling.
So in the UK, from my experience of working in the trade previously and dipping in and out of it now, shops don't make the money on the shipping for the majority. So generally, shops will charge 15 to 20 quid for shipping in the UK. The carrier charges 15 to 20 quid. It's just a pass-through service for the shop. And don't forget, the shop have got to put a polybox on. The polybox is a £5. Then you've got the person packing it that you're paying the salary for. It's probably 20, 30 minutes a bag. So there's all these costs that go into that. 2 or 3 heat packs for most of the time in the UK, they're a quid a go. So the shop probably doesn't make anything on the shipping. What I used to find really interesting was when I worked in the freshwater side of the hobby, and people would go online and buy like 10 neon tetras for 15 quid and then pay 15 quid to have it shipped. I was like, just go to your LFS and buy them there, because why would you do that? I get it in the reefing side, because we're talking about a higher value product, right? But for the bread, like even so, people sometimes go on and buy 10 hermit crabs and have them shipped to them. It's like, just go to your LFS. They're not going to be better quality hermit crabs wherever you go.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't think so, definitely.
Yeah, I will
$10 to $20 is in US can only give you a package probably about 50 miles distance. So, that's it. You're shipping to California from here. You talk about 100. Oh my God! $150 easily. So just for the smallest package.
I'll tell people all the time. So like, you know, give people, you know, that's I love that subject when it comes up, especially when we do lives. People are like, you know, they think we're like raking in all this money. So like we do $49 flat rate shipping. Anything over $3.99 is free. And I always tell people, I said, okay, if let's say you reach that $400 mark, you get free shipping. And let's say your package on an average, so let's say if I got a small box and a medium box, let's say anything over 6 corals, so 6 corals can go in a small box, anything over 6 corals goes in a medium box, up to like, maybe 16 or so. But that package will cost me anywhere from $70 to $90 for that medium size box. So let's say
discount.
Yeah, with discount.
Yes.
That's with the discount. And I get that discount too because we ship so much. So let's say on a high side I'm paying $90, and then that box itself costs another $12, and then the packing material, the ice packs, and then on top of that, the bags, the rubber bands, those are little costs that adds up. And then on top of that, you throw in a freebie, and that freebie can be a value anywhere of $30 to $300. And so, and you think too, people are like, oh well, that's a freebie, you just have it. Well, no, that's a $100 piece that would have been $100 cash that I could have gotten.
It's still weight in the box as well, right? So
it's weight in the box. So this $400 transaction that just got made, I technically only made $200 out of it.
Yeah, plus your time you haven't counted for as well.
I eat that cost, and if
I think when I'm using this expression of like the posters, I'm thinking about my earlier days in reefing when the eBay thing was like, oh, you can buy corals online. They send them to your house, and you get this photograph, and we'll go off on too much of a tangent here, but this photograph, and again the reefing marketing, and it looks amazing, and you get it, and you're like,
what the hell is this?
That doesn't look anything like that picture.
Yeah,
and it might be a Zoa it looks like it got glued on like 10 a.m. this morning, and you got it. It's just the Zoa's just covered in glue, It's just,
and that's a whole nother subject of how these companies are presenting, and this goes back with the online and then shipping and everything like that. Is it's giving your customer the correct expectation of what they're getting, because I've seen where like you can I have the same issue where like, what do? Do I take a picture online? If I want to present something on what you see is what you get. If I take a picture with a DSLR camera, it's an amazing high def picture with a 90mm macro, and it's beautiful and it's high definition. But does it look like that when you see it? And does it look like that? Like, let's say if you take a picture of it, like 90% of the people will with their phone, it's not going to look the same. So do I take a picture with a DSLR camera, or do I take a picture with my phone? Because the phone is a little bit more, I hate to say it, but a little bit more accurate to what the eye is seeing sometimes. So, and then you correct people's expectations, and you say, hey, look, like, and this is what we kind of fall under with like the shipping, and say, hey, I'd rather present something here a little bit less flashy. That way, when you get it, your expectation is, you're getting what you think you get, and it looks more correctly rather than this over embellished picture of what it is. Because sometimes you are selling the photography.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally, Dom. Totally.
Yeah. So and also there's so many excuses. Oh, your water is not right, your temperature is not right, your lighting is not good enough, your skill is not good enough, you're colorblind, or you're retarded. No refund.
And I get it. And you can tell people too, you can give them correct expectations of like, if you're gonna get a piece in.
I'd love that to be on one of your questions.
I love it.
Your Q&A should be, are you retarded?
Are you
Dom's getting a job in customer care after this.
I do laugh. I tell people, I was like, we got a DOA. Hey, if it comes in DOA, we'll replace it. But our unofficial policy has said, hey, we guarantee it up to 7 days after you get it, bar any negligence. And I consider negligence, for lack of better words, being retarded. If you do something stupid that you should not have done, like you're getting a box this day and you leave it outside until 7 o'clock at night, don't expect a DOA, because that was improper planning. Or if you buy coral and your tank is not properly prepped and ready and has the correct parameters, it's not my job to do.
That's the downside of your job, Terrell, is that, and those that ship coral, is that there's so much outside of your control that you've got to rely on, haven't you?
But I still get blamed for.
Yeah, well, I was just about to ask you about Terrell Don. How many people try it on?
Oh, I bet there's loads.
How many people try it on to go, how many people try it? So in the UK, we would say try it on, as in, so you order some coral. I don't know. People try it on to try and get something free. So they try and say,
all the time,
and it wasn't maybe, or
I just had a chargeback today.
That's why I don't ship coral that often anymore.
Yeah.
And here's an interesting story. Okay, let me hear this. The guy bought a coral, and then he then come back. He said the coral doesn't have the right color.
Mhm.
I said, you pick up the coral locally.
There's no argument. Is there? You've seen it.
You see it. I cannot Photoshop my tank. You see it. You pick up the coral. It's not like shipping to you looking at a photo. And then I said, well, what kind of light do you have? They said, oh, there's some kind of Amazon thing. So I said, of course. Well, but since that he picked up the coral, I said, well,
if it's an Amazon light though, that's your fault. It's got to be. I mean, you are like Amazon's.
The thing is that he bought it back. So I put it under the tank. He said, oh, wow, that's a nice color. I said, yeah. So then he said, oh, I want it back. I said, well, do you still have your Amazon light? He said, yeah. I said, no, I just refunded you because that when you bring it home again, you will look crappy again. In some cases, it's kind of interesting. But there's another case. There's another case interesting thing. So that's back many years ago. So I saw a coral, a frag. Though that was a Tyrese $500 airflow. Okay, to some guy live in New Hampshire. So I ship it over. 6 months later, I received an email from that guy. Said, oh, the coral didn't make it for a week. I want a refund. I said, well, it's 6 months already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And then I said, well, do you happen to still have the coral, their skeleton? He said, oh, yeah. Then he sent me a photo. Then I look at the thing is that piece is maybe like 5-6 times bigger than the frag I sent it to him. I said, wow, if this one died in 1 week, wow, you got amazing growth in that week. Then he just disappeared.
And to
people
that
try it
point,
on over there then all the time, and clearly.
well, you think about it like this, Tom, is think about the world and how dumb people can be, and think about sometimes the people that you deal with are 10 times dumber than that. And I'm not trying to be like derogatory or mean, but like really there are some things that do happen where it does blow me away. I'm like, am I really having this conversation with somebody? Like, am I taking crazy pills? Am I missing something?
Have you ever had somebody try and claim for a dead coral that wasn't your coral, that was somebody else's coral?
Really? Never happened to me yet.
We actually had we dealt with it's funny you say that, because we had a gentleman that did he bought 2 orders with us, did 1 chargeback already on us, and we actually beat it, and I just got the chargeback, the second chargeback today. But that was one of those things where the first one was we sent him I forgot what it was, like a torch or a hammer, and he sends us a picture and he's, oh, it didn't make it. And even Lindsay, she's like, it doesn't really look like it. But I said, you know what? I'm not going to get into a pissing match with this guy over, a $50 piece, $100 piece, whatever. It's let's just send it to him and replace it. And sometimes it's not worth getting into it with people, but it is kind of the fact of the matter. Like, when people will try
the
to
principle.
Oh yeah, the principle. And I've had people, they've come through and they'll, like, for instance, here's the one that drives me bonkers. And when people they'll get coral from us, let's say Acropora, right? And then they buy from all these other people, and then they get Acropora eating flatworms, and then they come to me, and then they're thinking that they got it from me. And the thing is, I've had to explain them to them. Like, I've told them, hey, this is how you beat them. This is what we've done before, and I give them the education on it. And it's funny because they won't believe me until they complete the process, and then they don't have them anymore. And then they're like, oh, well, it wasn't you.
Yeah. Do you know, for me as a buyer, I've only done mail order corals twice, and that was with Ron, who might still be in the chat, Eden Corals. I've never done it before because I like to see what I'm going to get. That being said, if I'm going to go online and buy from a vendor, I take the risk because I haven't seen what I'm buying, right? I kind of acknowledge that. I don't think many people do. I think people just they assume they're going to get a better coral from you, having never seen it, and it
Cheaper.
and cheaper. Yeah. But I think as if I'm going to buy it offline, damn straight I'm going to quarantine it, no matter where it comes from. If you're my best friend and I'm buying it from you, if I haven't seen it, I'm going to quarantine that thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's if people took that approach, you wouldn't have these problems. But people were just chancers, and people want everything for free, and people want to see, they want to screw the little man, and all that sort of stuff comes into it. So
Everybody wants something for nothing, man.
A few more suggestions for you, Ito. We've got TN Dongzilla.
That's why I don't name my corals.
That's a private joke between Dong and his wife later on. We've got Terrell's Treasure. There you go.
There has to be a stag, right? It has to be a big stag horn, doesn't it?
We've got TRN King Dong.
It could be like it could be a Digifara and just really thick and short,
yeah. Or a chode.
So there's a few bit that have been put in there. If anybody else has got any suggestions regarding any coral names for Terrell's Food Tank Reefs, thanks, would be duly appreciated.
Good names.
Right, let's move on to the next one. What else we got in here? Right, let's go with go on. Let's go with this one. Reef tax.
Reef tax.
So what would you consider reef tax? Like,
so this is one of mine. That's right. This is one of my ones, and it's a bit of a baited one, because obviously the reef tax thing, we pay stupid money for mediocre products.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that, I don't mean the high end skimmers, and I don't mean the high end pumps and lights. Simple things like airline or RO tubing or whatever. It costs pence, but you'll go into the LFS and you'll spend $5.99 on a bit of tubing. And at the other end of the spectrum, a media reactor, all it is an acrylic tube. That acrylic probably costs about 30 quid to manufacture. It's 250 quid to buy the reactor. The reason I think that cost happens is it goes through so many chains of manufacturer, distributor A, distributor B, hits the LFS, and you pay that. Everyone's got to earn their 10 or 20%.
Little bit of cut. They want their cut, yeah.
So by the time it gets to us as a consumer, we're paying that reef tax, and it's ridiculous. The reason why I hate it as well is because you go into an LFS, and I come from an LFS retail background, and you go to the shop, and it's like, fuck me, that's expensive. But the shop's making a pittance out of it. Like, the shop isn't the one making the money. The money's all being made at the front end. And us as the consumer are the ones that have to pay it. And I'll give you a great example is things like air pumps. When I was doing my big freshwater stuff, I was buying big pond air blowers, right? And going to the pond store and paying like 200 quid for a big air blower, big koi air blower. I could go into the hydroponics drugstore on the high street and buy exactly the same thing without the aquatic sticker on it. Yep. And it was $49.99. Exactly the same thing. Yeah. We get stung so much in this hobby for the sticker of what it is. It's all made in the same Chinese factory by whoever's distributing these things. By the time it gets to us, it's so expensive. And I think it's a sad thing for me because we know it's an expensive hobby because we're buying exotic animals from the wild that are shipped all over the world. And yeah, that's got a cost. I get that. But the plastic stuff doesn't have to be as expensive as it is. Mm-hmm. And I just think us as we just pay it. We keep paying it. And then you get told, oh no, it's expensive because there's an app developed so you can control that pump and control its flow. I was like, I don't need an app. I just need the fucking dial on it. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, you're starting to move on to one of my pet hates, which I'll kind of hold for a second. But no, I agree. Reef tax.
Actually, the local fish store tax. One thing is the beta water. Beta water. Have you seen your fish store? The $2 little bottle of water for your beta fish?
Yeah.
Beta water?
No.
I think this 20 cents bottle is as good as the beta water. And there's another thing. Another thing is that some store is selling RODI for like $2 a gallon for RODI. People can go to the local grocery store to buy distilled water for $1 per gallon.
Yeah, but
what's the point?
they've been driven to it as well, Don, because they make such little margin on all the other products. They've got to make it somewhere, right?
Yes,
True,
they've got to make
true,
it somewhere.
true.
Yeah,
And
the profit margin is really low
you could-
for most of the product.
These days in a retail store, you could go into that retail store, your LFS, and you could buy an off-the-shelf system and all the equipment. It might be let's say you're buying a half decent reef tank these days, and you're spending $4,000, right, for all the lights, all the equipment, all that sort of stuff. $4,000's probably a decent system, right? I would put to you that the shop would probably make a couple of £100 off that, like hardly worth the effort of selling it, really. And they rely on so much of you coming back and buying livestock and buying water and all that sort of stuff, because that's where they get the money. Honestly, the price we pay is all gone into pockets and pockets behind the scenes. Whoever has touched that product gets their 10 or 20%, onto the next one in the next country, gets his 10-20%.
The funny thing is some of the stuff with the trace elements as well, which you guys talked about last week with the first episode, is I guarantee you that some of the packaging costs more than the actual contents to manufacture.
Let me push back on this a little bit, because this is sitting on my mind. So could the reef tax be more of a convenience tax? So for instance, yes, you could make you could buy trace elements from so-and-so and pay this amount of money, but somebody could also come by and say, well, I can go make that for a portion, a very small amount of money.
Oh, 100%,
we'll go do it.
100%.
But I think that's where it is the people that if you have the know-how, yes, you can go do that. But people do make the reefing tax off of convenience, and the idea is, well, if I chose to go through the work of providing this convenience to you, then hey, I'm gonna make the profit. Let's say I'll give you the thing. The sea waves. We bring in the sea waves through here. It has to be worth it for me to bring in the sea waves, because if I'm bringing it in, if I'm selling it for what I'm bringing it in for, it does no good for me to just tie up all my money for that product if I'm only going to be making $10 off of it, $20 off it. There's no point in me going through the work and then the risk of me, tying up $300-400 of it at a time. And I think that's the same thing as like the coral aspect is people, well, I don't think the coral should be that much money. But I had an SPS grower tell me this when I first got in. He said, if I paid that much for that piece, I put my money down. I risked that my money. I took the time. I grew it out. I'm going to charge whatever I want to charge for it. And if that's the reefing tax, then
that's fair. There's a bit of convenience.
That's fair.
Sorry, Don.
Because go ahead.
So the elements one and the trace elements, I sort of made that point on last week. I'm happy to pay that because I trust that product. It's not on me to miscalculate something and fry my tank. So I'm happy to pay for the trace and stuff. My point was more about reactors. Now, other brands are available. It's not a slant at anyone. That is probably about, if you're mass producing that, 10 quid's worth of plastic, blown acrylic and or blown parts and molded acrylic. 10 quid maybe to land in this country. 95 quid I think I paid for that. Like, that's an extortionate amount of margin on what is essentially a bit of blown plastic, right?
Plus you need to buy a pump because you didn't come with one.
Yeah.
Well, but raw material for the price we pay at the till is
buying a car with no wheels. You kind of need the wheels for it to work, is what I'm saying.
I've bought things like from when we did the kids' room, I bought like a mural for the wall, like a big poster. It got shipped in something like that. The packaging was the same as what this is bloody made of. And that was just a throwaway piece because the product was inside. It was more valuable than that. And I've just paid 90 quid for a plastic tube. You know what I mean? So that's where I was going with that. Is the product, the actual, if you break it down to the parts that are involved in the products we buy, the margin is extortion. Absolute extortion.
Well, in this case, actually, if you don't mind, I want to push back a little bit. Okay. That's why we unhinge, uncensored. Okay, for this. So for business school, they will tell you that if you market a product, the material cost should be less than 10% of the retail price. Otherwise, it's not a viable product on the market.
Okay.
I think that actually translates into if you buy a $200 reactor, the material should be less than $20. And if you have to spend $20 material to make that reactor, you need to charge $200 to make a product that is viable in terms of the capitalism.
You're paying for the designers, the marketers.
Yeah, design, advertisement, shipping. Actually, shipping is a huge amount of portion from the manufacturer to wholesaler to retailer. Every level, gets a lot of shipping costs involved. So, but something is, I think that the reef tax, some product representing the biggest reef tax is citric acid. You can go online to buy those pump cleaners. It's citric acid. Okay, you pay $10 for the little bottle, but you pay $10 for 5-pound bag on Amazon. And in this case, why I call it reef tax? Because these two products are absolutely identical. There is no add-on value for that little vial of the $10 vial of citric acid. Is reef safe. That is truly a reef tax. So basically, those kind of thing is just like the coral snow. Yeah, that's a reef tax. But
I saw that in the comments earlier. But even things like your flossers and stuff, there's loads of different.
Yeah, it's identical stuff with no added value. It's just repackaged, add on extra cost to sell to reefer. Like a reefer evaluated or whatever, certified. And for example, like some farmer grade material, which that grade doesn't even exist.
I think for me, it only becomes a topic of conversation, like Terrell said earlier, about convenience. If you've got, a 3 foot, US gallons is tank, 3-4 foot tank, and you don't spend that much on it, it doesn't take much time, it's never going to be a question. But when the more you do, the more you have, you're going to look at costs. It's an overhead for a business, isn't it? You've got to look at overhead. So reef tax comes into play, and it's like, well, hang on a minute, I can buy this that does the same job, that's half the price. So you suddenly start to realise that when you start to have a bigger volume of water, and I'm not saying bigger volume of water is great, but that's more work, it's more cost, it's more time, more investment. You start to realise that certain things, like Jamie's saying here with reef tax, become a problem. They become a big obstacle. Especially if you look at like again, I don't want to name and shame brands and stuff, but as an example, look at the highest end pump you can buy. It's made by a company that starts with A, and it's called a Cannon, right? Those pumps there, $3,000. $3,000 for a pump. I get it's a big pump and it does a big tank, but $3,000 for that pump. You're not telling me that costs more than 200 quid to put together, right?
See, I'll give you pushback, and I'll say it like this. So I'll give you an example. I know this isn't pumps, but let's say alkalinity testers, because that one's come up before. I've seen people say, hey, I can make an alkalinity tester for X number of money. So, all right. So that being said, do it. Now, I've looked into what it would take to actually, produce, alkalinity tester, work with a company, and just to try to keep it a little bit on the vague side. I'm looking into the deeper design of what it takes to run it through, and then present that as a professional product, not just a reefer every day, doing a DIY. And so, it does takes a little bit more money, and especially the products, like shit, man, I was just trying to source the correct kind of acrylic, which I couldn't source out of America because of the specific size. So I had to go somewhere else, source it out. That's time, that's effort, that's money. Now, for instance, let's say, hey, now what's the next step? I got to take that acrylic and I got to cut it with something. What's the laser? Laser engravers. So thank God I've had laser engravers in the past, so I have access to that. But I also know how much time it takes for me to put in man hours and knowledge to run that laser engraver. So now I'm putting myself in a position of, I've charged people this in the past to do laser engraving. Now I'm putting myself in a customer and a two-person position. I'm saying, all right, what would I charge myself to make this for the amount of time that I'm putting in there? And now I'm starting to realize, I'm like, okay, that price is kind of justified up there. Like, it could be, it could be kind of, it can get a little bit excessive. Like, don't get me wrong, I coral snow, potassium chloride, shit like that can be just, you could find it readily available in bulk for really cheap. But when it comes down to producing stuff, and there's a different level of cost that goes from a DIY production to a professional business.
Yeah, because of that, when you produce equipment, there's added value to it. Yeah, on top of the raw ingredient. But potassium chloride and citric acid, that has no added value.
Yeah.
It's just a different size bottle.
Two things I would say on that. I 100% take on board. There's the hidden costs and the R&D and all that sort of stuff, and the specialist materials, 100%. But there's a difference. First off, if you're looking at producing 500 units or 10,000 at a time, you can. There's a lot which these companies are. The other thing, I'm coming from. I work in water treatment, so I do a lot of stuff with pumps and dosing equipment and stuff in the industrial sector. When we're doing, let's say, your council swimming pool, right? 2 pumps we'll put on a swimming pool that are chlorine resistant and the same sort of marine grade we'd use in our tanks here. Pumps that would circulate, a 50-ton swimming pool cost about $3,000. Why does a fish tank pump cost about $3,000? That's the sort of comparisons I'm making here.
Well, because they've taken.
I totally understand that part. I totally agree with you, Jamie, on that regard, because that sometimes, many times, I'm holding one pump is like $800, the other pump is $100. They look suspiciously identical down to the detail. Only difference is the different logo. That is a reef tax.
Yeah. Yes.
But if the product is unique and has no substitution, that is pretty difficult to gauge.
To that subject, that there's nothing that runs, in comparison to that product that you're saying. You know? So I don't. Exactly. So they do essentially, they've cornered that market. Yeah, they're producing this thing. Yeah, they're charging that money, but they also have no competition to drive that price down. Either.
Yeah, that there is not rebadging our cheaper product, slap your logo on it and make it more expensive. That is the tax.
I guess
that's where. Sorry, Jimmy, I agree with you about don't support reef. They won't be able to develop. My understanding of reef tax is also what you just talked about. It was made in China. We're going to make it look sexy. We'll put a better logo on it. We're going to put it in a nice box that you're not going to keep. You're going to throw it away. And we're going to make out of purple plastic instead of black because that looks cooler, and we're going to charge $100 more, and you're going to pay it.
That's why I love Jabows. Jabows are awesome, man. I'm a huge fan of them because I use them for power heads, return pumps, and honestly, in 8 years, I've only ever had one Jabow return pump fail on me, and it's because the little plastic impeller split in 2. 1 in 8 years.
When you talk about a company X X over the rainbow over there, okay? So company X actually will custom make something for you if your order volume is big enough.
Yep.
Yes.
So
they will totally.
Can I do it? Can I do a story?
Yeah,
can I do a story? Tom's story?
Yeah.
Not Tom's story. So I have a customer that manufactures Jamie, behave. So I had a customer. I've got a customer that manufactures cookers and sanitation for caravans and motorhomes. Okay, and they're a Dutch company, and they went to China to see if they could get this product made cheaper. They took a prototype to China. They looked at it. They made it. They said, "Yes, we can do this," and they literally launched their own product and took out the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot of
it happens all the time.
I say, do you think that's wrong, or do you think that's the same access that everybody has to do so? Because
it's just business, isn't it? It's just business. Like if you have a coral and somebody takes your frag and they grow it to a big colony and they chop it into 50 frags and they sell it at half the price you were selling.
It's already wrong.
It's business, yeah.
I think I'll leave it at this. I think the reef tax is a big thing, which I think we're all aware of. I would have less of a problem if the retailers made a better margin out of it, because when the retailers disappear, we all get upset. but no one wants to buy products from them because they can get it for 10% cheaper online, and there's no just no margin to pass on for the retailer. It's all but my point is all the money we pay up front to the retailer goes to someone else behind the scenes, right? That's where I was kind of going with that.
Yeah.
Because I just saw the comment about the calcium hydroxide, right? If you really want to pay, not paying reef tax.
Oh, here we go. Here you go, Windows Water. That'd be good. Thanks for tuning in. See what Don's got up his sleeve. Lime water, pickling lime. There you go.
Pickling lime from Walmart.
Yeah.
That
sold out now.
Cheaper than your calcium hydroxide. That is exactly the cold water, and it's food grade. It's dirt cheap.
And I think the reefing tax is a lot easier to swallow. Like you said, Jamie, it's getting paid to all these people behind the scenes. You don't know where that money's going. And it's easier to swallow the reefing tax, at least for me. Like, let's say if I'm working directly with the company, I know how they're spending that money, how they're reinvesting that money. So yeah, if they're charging this price, I'm like, all right, I get it, and at least you're taking that money and you're not buying yourself, nice dinners and vacations. You're rolling it back into your business. So, all right, I can support that. I can get on board. But yeah, if you don't know
so if they make a unique product that actually is different.
Yeah. But not when it's just
it's not like getting something easy and rebadge it to high purity calcium hydroxide, but just change the label, tape it over, and charge you 5 times more, and that is reef tax. Yeah.
Right. I hope you've got your batteries charged, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've got your sleeping bags ready, because this might go well over the 12 marks. Quite a little bit more to talk about. I'm a quick one here, random.
We've got some good stuff.
We haven't got the good stuff yet. Right, I'm going to go with... Who's this one? Reefers asking for advice. You do the opposite of the advice that's been given.
That's mine.
Terrell, explain.
Look, new hat.
You know what? And that's the thing is, I get there's so much to do in this hobby. Everybody reefs them, but I do laugh, and I laugh because it's my LFS. He's my LFS. The owner, he's a buddy of mine, told me the same thing. It's his biggest pet peeve. If somebody comes in and asks you a question and then proceeds to tell you their answer, if you're going to ask me a question, you're wanting my answer. Don't tell me your answer. And I've done this time and time again. People will come in, they'll ask me questions, and I'm taking the time out of my day. I'm taking the mental effort to give you the right answer and to guide you in your way. And then I come back and then they've done exactly the opposite, or they just don't give two shits about it, And like there's one gentleman, he wanted a nice high-end tank and then nice high-end fish. And I want to slap a big blue carpet nem in there. And I said, hey, might not be the best idea because it might eat your fish and it might go into your power head. The next week that I showed up to his service, it was in his power head. It's like what did I just tell you? But and then at that point you just kind of I got to kind of pull away because not everybody wants to reef how I'm going to say to reef. They want to do them, but then I just say figure it out yourself. If you're not going to take the advice, then don't ask it.
You need one of these, Terrell. You need one of these.
Yep. So.
No, that must be really demoralizing for you guys as retailers, because people come and ask you all the questions. You spend an hour talking to them, and they're just, all right, whatever. I'm going to do it my way anyway. So right.
Not everybody cares about the same thing that you do too. Like I care about, I speak on ethics. I speak on how businesses run themselves, how they treat their animals, and how it feeds down to the customer. And I could cite, hey, this, you don't want to go that direction just because you're going to deal with a lot of headaches. It's going to be, you're just not going to get taken care of the right way without bashing or anything like that. And then they just go and do it anyway. So I'm like, all right, man, or if I say, hey, this business has done us dirty in a very, very bad way, and hey, do what you want to do, but then they just go and keep supporting them. I'm of the idea you support with your dollar. And if again, everybody can do what they want to do, but I look at reefers as like relationships. Like people want to go and stick it in every crevice they possibly can, sometimes not realizing that they might get the reef stids, and when you do, stop being nasty.
Reef stints,
Oh.
Do you not think that goes back to one of the earlier comments that you made though regarding sort of like about influencing? Probably too much information out there, maybe for people, because they'll take your advice and go, "Well, hang on a minute. He said this would happen, and it hasn't. So he said this would happen, and it did happen. So then he knows more than he does, and then he said this, and he said that, and then before you know it, it's like, who do I listen to? Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're an established coral farmer, and somebody's listening to the friend on TikTok or on Facebook or whatever, because
somebody on a forum told them this, and the next thing they know, they make a snap judgment because XYZ person.
Yes.
That's what I tell people too. If you want a good mentor, find somebody with success that shows success and actively shows success that way, and then emulate what they do. I mean, and I've seen, and that brings to the, I know it's another thing of the, influencing over reefing is a lot of people just want to be heard. A lot of people, there's a plethora of information out there, and I think social media that's my big one is people want to be influencers more than they want to reef, and they see and I know we're part of this subject because we're essentially influencers. We're getting up in an official capacity, we're running our mouths, we're talking. Oh, Jamie, you better own it because you are, whether you like it or not.
No.
But for real though, we are, and people will come on and they will hear something that we say, and then they see an audience. And I think that, I was saying in the live before is I find it kind of sad. I feel like, for lack of better words, I feel like people don't have enough purpose in their own personal home lives to where they feel like they need to come onto a social media and the internet to find purpose and community. And then they see us having people listen, and people they want their 5 minutes of fame. They want to be heard. They want to have people look at them and think that they're smart and they know what they're doing. And it becomes more of the drive to want to be an influencer more than you're doing it for the animals and the hobby and actual reef.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
Absolutely. So as we said in the agreement before this, I think it makes perfect sense. You've got two types of people. You've got mad, avid, geeky hobbyists like us that were there before and then came to social media. And then you've got people that are on social media that have came to the hobby. And I think the two are very, very different things. And where some of the new people fall foul is they see these really high-end polished videos and think, oh, he must know what he's talking about. But it's not. He's a guy that's come from, I don't know, sports cars and just got himself a reef tank because it'll get him likes. And he's telling people about a reef tank. Because he's
free shit.
Or free shit.
Oh, this is free shit.
because the videos are polished and there's a soundtrack and they smash in. The videography is really good. It looks professional. It gives that vibe of, he must know what he's talking about. Whereas I do a shitty video walking on a fish room and drop my phone and stuff. And it's like no one watches it because it's a crap video,
Well, people don't take the responsibility of realizing, like I always say, that we are the ambassadors of reefing to people that have no idea about reefing. So if people that are, my wife was not one of the people who liked reefing before, and she thought it was unethical, and she thought it was not nice to take animals out of the wild and put them in a little glass box. So
is this the third wife on the
podcast? No. I got one wife. Uno. And get me in trouble on here, Tom. Better knock it off. But like, she didn't like the hobby before, and I sold it to her saying, hey, look, like, we're bringing, people don't know about this hobby. They don't know about reefs. And when you show them that this thing exists, you bring it to the forefront of their minds, and it makes them aware about it. But there's also a lot of people out there that don't want this hobby to exist. They want it to go away. And when they see people acting an ass and treating the animals bad, you are only giving them ammunition to use against our hobby. And people don't realize that, what they say in a public space, what they say on social media, how they present themselves on social media has a bigger impact, because you are not just your own little reefer reefing in your town, in your neighborhood, and you're hanging out at your own 10 people club, 20 people, 50 people, whatever. You're getting on, and you have an international community all over the place. Take it seriously.
Yeah, amen.
Sorry, that one gets me, man, because I see, again, TikTok is our thing, and we're one of those reefers that came up out of nowhere and came from nothing, and I'm never gonna be like, hey, nobody else can do that too. But I've never stepped outside of my lane and acted like I didn't know that I knew something that I didn't know what I was talking about. And I always try to caveat, if I'm talking about a subject, I'm always willing to be wrong. And I always try to caveat and say, this is what I think it is. It could be something different, but hey, man, I see other people get on there and they will, no, this is how it is. This is the way to do it. And
the thing is, the best reefers in this sort of game will say honest advice. We're like, oh, this is what worked for me. It might not work for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the others will say, this is what you need to do. You need to buy this because it works really well.
But they're the people that need their ego stroking because they fuel off that.
Yeah.
It's ego,
sure.
man.
They need disciples to follow them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is what I would say, because they're lacking in another department. Anyway, moving on. Tebel's coral name, Piece of Philosophy. There's a suggestion for you from Bird.
Oh, that's a nice name. Yeah.
Like that.
That's a bit too nice, that is. It's a bit too nice.
Right,
we got to keep it a little classy and dirty.
I'm gonna mix it up here. One of my pet eggs. I think this was my last one. Reefing equipment breaking.
After you spend
It's going to break anyway.
I know. And to be fair,
It's
Jamie,
gonna break.
And to be fair to Jamie, Paul Hughes, AAC, always says this. These things, I'm not going to pretend to do a Cockney accent, Michael Caine accent, but these things, aren't designed for, salt water for long periods of year. They're just not. They just don't. I think the biggest thing that pisses me off, though, is it's one thing after another. And I hear this all the time in reefing. There's always something. It's always something breaking.
Always
something needs fixing. And it's just like, and I sometimes, like now, and I know I'm not playing this violin, all jokes aside, but I just feel like now with the garage and I'm extending it, I'm not really bothered about the fancy names. I mean, yeah, it's great to have a Stratton, above this and the great lights, got this and great. But the light gives the light spectrum I need, the pump does the pump I need. I'd rather have a bit of the Leo philosophy here, Leonardo's Reef. Buy it breaks, buy another one. Swap it, buy another one. Swap it, buy another one, swap it. Because I find that having one on the shelf is a lot more sort of. It's like at least this about the Red Dragon pumps. Yeah, I spent hundreds of pounds or dollars on the pumps downstairs. I had nothing but issues. In hindsight, if I knew what I know now, I would have had two different pumps with maybe one spare on the shelf.
Yeah.
For redundancy is what I'm saying, and I would have spent collectively the same amount of money altogether. And I just think that. In a hobby where flow, temperature, not necessarily lighting, but flow and temperature are up there to keep everything alive, as I'm sure you'd agree. Is it better to have something cheap that you can replace very quickly? And when I say this as well, I'm talking about things, and Drippy's not watching this, obviously, because he's probably with his, 20-odd-year-old girlfriend. Yeah, that's right.
How much did he pay?
Jealousy.
Whoa.
Just kidding.
He always used to nag in my ear about this. But what's the point in these expensive pumps? If they break, you've got to send them all the way to Germany. They take a week to get there, and they get fixed, and then a week to come back. Is it not better to be able to go to an LFS and buy something to replace it straight away? And not have that issue. So I think.
Depends on, I think, what it is.
Best bit of advice you just said there as well, Tom, is if you're going to keep anything spare, keep a spare return pump.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If that goes, that is the heartbeat of the system. Have a spare repair pump, a spare return pump, and if that means you're having two Jabal pumps, like you say, one in the shelf, one in the tank, over one Red Dragon or Vector or whatever it may be, that's the better option, in my opinion.
I think the way. Going back to earlier conversations, the way that they're marketing, it's a bit like buying a car. They all go from A to B, but they cost various amounts of money. For whatever, features, benefits you've got, every tricks, toys, whatever added on. But ultimately, if your livelihood is going from A to B and you can no longer go from A to B, you need to find a way to go from A to B very quickly. And if you don't have the money to do that, you aren't going from A to B. Is what I'm kind of saying. So it's much better from my experience now to have, to run something where you have got a spare on the shelf that you can swap out, or run maybe two return pumps from again, redundancy point of view. Like we talk about heaters, power heads, etc. And you can go all the way down to battery backups and blah blah blah. But I just think that reefing equipment, it will break.
Yeah.
It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
When?
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that comes
especially
with, like,
midnight.
yeah.
Or when you're sleeping, when you're on vacation. Yeah, it breaks.
Exactly.
I
How
think figuring out-
many people do you hear about nightmare stories? And it's when they're on holiday, when they're meant to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
I think the reefing experience comes with like knowing what to do quantity and knowing what to do quality. You know, and like to your point is like I've come to that point where in my experience I've always run, you know, Jabals just because they're cheap. I can get them readily, you know, Amazon all the time. You can get them from Walmart, you know, within a day or two. It's accessible. And from what I've seen,
and they're reliable.
Yeah, they're reliable. So it's one of those, you know, and I've gotten away from it. Oh, it's a Chinese made pump. I'm like, yo, if it freaking works, I don't care what it is. Just as long as it keeps running and as long as I can get more of them.
There's a comment here from Lee, Bristol Reef. Hey, Lee. Okay, good. And to be fair, I'm not just going to say this because of Steve and Jez being the sponsor behind this quite good channel. But what I will say about Exodus, I know there's many people in the UK watching this, is that when it comes to certain manufacturers, Exodus, when it comes to the Ecotech brands and other brands, the Ecotech umbrella in the UK, they will get you literally. And I even know stories of people driving and meeting each other in service stations to swap parts so they can keep their reef tanks going. That's the level of service that some brands are prepared to go to. So, you know, you can't fault that. And I think when you've got a brand that's, you know, that is relied upon, there's what becomes that expectation as well, almost.
I go with that. And to say about the reef tax earlier, yes, I've got a lot of Exodus products. I've got G6 Radions all over the LPS system. I've had one break, and to be fair, the money you've paid for them, they're like, I don't know, £700-800 a light. They've been repaired, and I've said, how much is that going to cost me? No, don't worry about that.
Awesome.
You know, it's you get that level of service, right? So you expect that. You pay your money, you expect a bit of service, but when it is there, it's good.
Do you know what? It's a really good point. Economical Reef has put on here. I avoid using used reef equipment, which I used to be a very big advocate of. I'd rather buy a new affordable gear and replace it every few years. It's like a washing machine. Why spend a fortune when a cheaper one can simply be replaced with fails? The only thing I will say about this on my topic of reefing equipment breaking is one thing that really pisses me off, since it's uncensored, is the warranty. It's never long enough. It's like it's nowhere near long enough. Nobody offers an extended warranty. You buy a car, like Lisa's saying, yeah, cars do break to it, and I agree they do, but you have an option to extend your warranty. But with reefing, you don't. So you just know it's going to break. I would love somebody to say, this pump is $500. If you pay $200, we're going to guarantee it for 10 years. Here's my money. Take my money. I'll have that.
But then there'll be all those little things about it's only valid if you descale your pumps every 3 months as a minimum. And if you get a snail stuck in it, that's down to you and all that sort of stuff. It's hard, isn't it?
It is because
it is.
The company, you gotta think that people will try to try it on and get whatever they can from you, you know, in any way that they can, and it becomes where you do have to like name every little thing that you can possibly think of just to protect yourself as a company in that warranty. Like,
I know that salt obviously is, you know, is a corrosive, you know, environment for this equipment materials to be in. But I almost feel like saying, well, hang on a minute. Well, you need to build them better because that's the environment they're going into.
Actually, for that comment about buying new equipment, yes, I kind of agree with that. It depends on what kind of equipment. For example, for lights, I don't mind buying a used one. So, but for pump, for power head, I buy brand new one. I don't even want to save a few bucks to buy a used one.
That's
because you never know what the previous owner did to those equipments.
That's interesting. I would go completely 360. I wouldn't mind buying second-hand pumps and stuff, but lights, I want to know the burn hours. I want to know how long it's run for, like because your LED's got like a 7-year lifespan, something like that.
Well, the everything that put inside the water, I want them brand new. If it's outside the water, I give it a little bit more
I go down the thought line of I can clean a pump, I can descale a pump, I can check the impeller, but I can't check a light.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when your light fail, your coral won't die. But when your pump fail, your coral will die. Yeah, that's how I look at it. Especially that there's a pump has one, like let's say return pump. So return pump is supposed to have the two shaft, ceramic shaft and two ceramic shoes, suspend that magnet in the mid water, so it doesn't in contact with the housing. But if the pump is not maintained, that means that the calcium buildup or detritus stuck into the chamber can scratch the rotor, then expose the raw metal and leaching metal in your tank. So for used pump, you never know anything. The previous owner maintained the pump properly or not. But for a new pump, you know that it's come brand new and you maintain it. You know the history because it's inside the water.
To be fair, to be fair, this is a brilliant comment. Typical Reef Light advert. It only been used at 50%.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that so many times. I only released 20%.
Yeah, you only been used 10%, 20% all the time. How long? 8 years?
I saw a question earlier. It was something along the lines of what reefing equipment or what in the reefing would you not buy ever, or would you not buy again? If somebody wants to ask it again, because that one kind of came to mind with something really interesting that's kind of been in our hobby. So it might be an interesting subject. I don't know if you can find it in there.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Chat. Yeah, because there's actually, it does bring up a subject of what
how's that? There you go. Boom.
Never be bought, guys. All right, I'll give you one. Maybe it's not a piece of reefing. It is reefing product. Red Sea tanks.
We don't name products, Terrell.
I mean, look, sorry, but look, I do have to say, and I have this question, and as a legit hobbyist and watching people buy these things, I've seen so many issues with blowouts on these things, and I've even heard issues with the new versions of them, and it does bring a major manufacturing flaw into mind. Like, what is going on, and how is this thing persisting for so long? Because I've seen this for years, and I guess I'm just not understanding why is this problem still persisting in this design if it's been an issue.
One thing I'd like to know, Terrell, is how long Wonderwater has been holding his breath while he's had that photograph taken of his avatar.
He's shredded. To go on the Red Sea thing, we've had this debate a few times and read through the forums and spoke to shops and stuff. And there is one train of thought is that Red Sea outsell every other manufacturer on tanks probably 3 or 4-fold every year. So there's a lot more Red Sea tanks out there. So you hear about more of the failures, right? And that could be true. So they sell more tanks, hence there's more failures. If you research, I don't know, any other manufacturer, you'll probably find 1 or 2 threads of failures, but the numbers correlate fairly the same. It's very famous now.
I disagree with that statement.
I don't.
Because that when I just look at the local data for people who having it, it looks like it's not even in terms of percentage of that brands of tank failure. It's not 1 or 2%. It's like almost like guaranteed to fail. It's like every freaking people that I know that have the certain brands of tank, they all fail. So
I think they've admitted they had a problem, because if you look at the Gen 3 tanks now, they've all got a thin brace around the top. They're not a rimless tank anymore. They've braced them, so they've obviously admitted that there was an issue with that.
Wasn't more the issue of it popping out that front pane though? Where
I never see the YouTube video. I can't remember what it was. It was a YouTube video when I think it was March, might have been Fragbox. He went to Japan and he went to a Red Sea store, should I say? Red Sea? Yeah, marine store. And their bracing was different because of the earthquakes. So they actually acknowledged that it needed different, and I'm talking years ago. This video must be 3-5 years ago. It's not recent. It might have not been him. It might have been George 3 Go on, Coldfish.
Yeah.
Go on, help me out. You know what I mean.
Mhm.
There was a video. Anyway, I'm sure someone's going to put it in the comments. I'm talking about a few years ago. And yeah, this story, the person doing the video was absolutely shocked to say this reefer, whatever it was, the cabinet was like, oh my God, can't believe how it's done it. And it was all to do with the earthquakes. So they'd actually purposely like changed the bracing because of the shock would constantly, you know.
Probably the only retailer that thought about that.
Yeah.
But,
no, it was Red Sea. It was Red Sea. It wasn't the retail. It was actually
At Red Sea.
to that continent. To that continent that they were distributing to.
The one thing
I think it's a
I found,
cost
having
issue.
worked on Red Sea tanks and looked at loads of them, is that the doors, where that tank sits on the base, the doors are underneath, so they sit flush with the glass. So there's no support on that very front beam.
Right.
It's just it's hanging, right? So I've always thought that's a bit of a faux pas. I've always
That's what I thought.
Every corner of every outside surface should be supported. That being said, I don't work for Red Sea. You know, I've got nothing, no qualms at all. But I've got no hands in the fight. So
Right.
I couldn't care less. But I'm just trying to sort of think: is it because it's a volume thing? We hear more about it. Is it now it's publicised and everyone's on the bandwagon? Or don't get me wrong, I've seen loads of videos of them popping, and now it's just a comical thing. Like, oh, there goes another one, and I wouldn't have that in the living room because it's you know what I mean.
But the scaling issue shouldn't be in their favor. Like that's saying, okay, so when you're looking at 1 in 10, 10%, 1 in 10 tanks fail. Okay, that's just one. You can say it's a one-off. Now it's 2 in 20. Now it's 3 in 30. Now you can say cell phones. If 1 million cell phones are sold, and then that means 100,000 cell phones have issues. Well, this is now a trending problem where it's not just 1 or 2, it's 100,000. So if I've seen this trend, and I guess I bring this up because I see so many people, it's a company that's out there. I think they make pretty tanks, but the quality of it that I've seen time and time again is just, it's very concerning. And I hear people, they're like, oh, boycott them, stop selling them. But and this goes back to this thing is people still buy them. And I don't know if they just don't know about this or they're just willing to roll the dice and say, screw it.
I think one thing that really
I think most likely they don't know about it. Seriously, it depends on how the fish store is marketing them.
Yes.
So yeah, and
people
also
want,
the tank built in Japan probably different.
True, but people want something now. Don't want to wait.
But shouldn't a LFS that, let's say, is selling the Red Sea tank that has the whole complete setup and it's convenient and everything else, isn't a degree of responsibility on the LFS to understand that product, and they're selling that product to the end customer? So yes, the end customer may not know about that product, but the LFS sure does, or should.
I think people still buy it because it is a reputable brand. Despite all of that, it's still a brand name.
Because it sells.
Because it sells.
Yeah, that's the same. Because it sells, you can.
So is it a reputable brand for quality, or just because people are just still willing to buy it because it's said company?
Because it's known.
Going on that last comment, I use a lot of Red Sea equipment as well, as in like gyros. I've got a reflared. I've got the top up. The ATO is really good. I think some of the equipment's really, really good. But this is where I don't hang my hat on a brand, and I could never be a brand ambassador because I've got D&D stuff, I've got Red Sea stuff, I've got Exodus stuff, I pick the best of all of them. I don't think any one company makes everything the best, right?
Yes.
So I think Red Sea, they're pretty strong on some things, but would I buy a tank?
Yeah.
Probably not. And one of the things that stuck with me in the past is, let's say you're at a dinner party and there's a bowl of M&Ms on the table, right? 100 M&Ms, but someone said 2 of them will kill you. You wouldn't eat them, would you? You wouldn't take any of them.
No.
So it's that sort of thing, isn't it? It's like 99 of them might be okay, but one's going to burst in the living room. Oh, I just won't have one then. But the rest is okay. And I think they do make some good equipment. I'm not just playing the safe card here because we're on the live stream. I think they do make some good equipment.
Right. Yeah, I'm not trying to dog them, in particular, because we can apply this kind of same thing to any company. You can see where companies, as they progress over time, the quality starts going down, the customer service starts going down. You don't get the same support, you don't get the same build quality, you don't see the same longevity. So I can see that, and even me, I have like I say this with an expectation that my shit's gonna break at some point. So you know, for instance, you know, like the lights or the ocean sea waves. Like if somebody comes to me with an issue, I still say, hey, look, like you got to realize, man, this is still a piece of equipment that humans are making, and they're not gonna be 100% perfect all the time. But it comes down to
you have to accept that though.
Yes,
accept that it's not set and forget.
Yeah, but
So
the
many
customer
people-
service and support and everything that supports that product is important too. Because
it's the same for me as saying like, well, like what do I run downstairs? I run probably 8 power heads on my SPS tank downstairs and 2 return pumps for flow. Right? I know that after 2 weeks, if I clean the grills on those power heads, it's a completely different tank from a flow perspective. So the point I'm trying to make here is that just because you buy something and put it in doesn't mean you never have to go back to that and deal with it again. It's another issue that you're gonna have to deal with at some point, whether it's cleaning it, upgrading it, maintaining it, you know, swapping it out for something new. There's always, you know, the more things you have on this, you know, almost like a Christmas tree light, the more lights you have, the more chance something's going to go at some point.
Yeah, maintenance. Keep an eye on top of things. It's very important.
To be fair, the Red Sea DD merger, buyout, however it is, might be good because obviously all Red Sea tanks, I think, are made in Asia. I think all Chinese tanks are bought in, I think. D&D tanks.
I think, I think it's the contract manufacturer issue. I think many of them is a contract manufacturer.
All DD tanks made in the UK. I think they're practically Seabray tanks or some, you know, that sort of thing. So if those two companies are now one and they source all the production to the UK or Europe, you might get a better quality product as a result. So it could be the things are going to get better.
I hope. And you know, and I think it's just with anything, it's like, you know, I understand that stuff can happen and you know, any company can come in and they can make different iterations of said product and it gets better and better, but it's also the willingness of that company to listen to feedback and to make the active changes. And like I said, I can't dog a company if they have an issue and they make the correct changes. I can say, okay, the issue was regrettable. It sucks, but at least they listened and they progressed to try and make the issue, you know, fix the issue. But if I see this persisting issue, whether it be tanks or lights or pumps or whatever the hell, and they just keep rolling said product out, now it's kind of like, all right, well, you know, what do I say to somebody?
But I think there is also totally an argument to say that some of these brands also try and again, this business, because ultimately this is what it is, isn't it? It's business, about money, you know. I think there's a lot of businesses that will try and cater for the masses. You know, a lot of people will fall foul of buying a Red Sea tank, so therefore they've got to get Red Sea lights, Red Sea skimmer, Red Sea power heads, Red Sea, you know, they want everything to match. And there's an element of OCD. There might be an element of finance package that's been offered with the tank, with everything else included.
Yep.
And it all makes sense. It's all using the same technology, etc. But I also think there's certain brands out there that, for me, I would rather brands be renowned for doing one thing or two things, but doing it really well. And specializing on that.
Right.
You know, which might sound a little bit backwards to say you go to the butcher for your meat and you go to the greengrocer, you don't go to the supermarket for everything.
No, but
I'm just sort of saying that maybe I think in certain things in reefing, you know, Jamie mentioned about, you know, the pumps earlier, you know, the £3,000 pumps. Even if you've got that, you know you are getting a quality product. It might not feel like it, you spend a lot of money, but you know that is going to be a quality product. And you know that you can ring them up day, morning, noon, and night if you've got an issue, and they're going to deal with it because you've spent so much money. Yep. Is what I'm kind of saying.
And then on the opposite, like let's say I've bought some expensive pumps, I won't say what, and the support on it, and these I had multiple pumps of expensive pumps go very bad. In a very short amount of time, like within, you know, 10 minutes of putting them in, which shouldn't have happened like that. And the support for it has been, for lack of better words, less than satisfactory. You know, very less than satisfactory. So, but I'm like, and to me, I'm kind of like, man, well, dude, these are expensive ass pumps. I want, you know, I want to be taken care of, especially when I was told I will be taken care of if something goes bad. And I
think that's the other thing. I'm going to move on to another one in a second. Sorry, conscious of time. But I think that's the other thing. We talked about it earlier. And I'm not just bigging Steve and Jessica Exodus because they've supported us, but they are literally great. You can pick up the phone, have a conversation, send an email. You will get a response. And I think, the measure of any, and I say this of my own business is, my business gets things wrong. It's how you deal with it when it goes wrong, the communication, the support, and the rectification of that issue to prevent it from happening or reoccurrence is even more important. And I think, if you spend 5,000 or 10,000, whatever it is, or 500, whatever it is, it's kind of irrelevant. It's the feeling that you get, not just from buying it, but going back and having a question of how you're dealt with and how you're, communicated to or with moving forward. And that speaks volumes. It's like going to a restaurant, having a great experience, you're going to tell 10 friends. You have a shit experience, you're going to tell, you tell everybody, don't go there, don't buy it.
And even to the point, don't bullshit people. If something goes wrong in a product, or if a product is bad or whatever, and this goes back to businesses, customers, everybody. But like as a business, let's say I've dealt with this product. I have been lied to and bullshitted, and I know I have because the answers have been changed week to week to week. And and I'm like, I don't respect that because like, A, I'm a business, B, I'm a customer, but C, I'm a person. Don't it's disrespectful to it's disrespectful to me, but if you would just tell me, be honest with me about what the hell you got going on, or just say, hey dude, I'm sorry, we don't have the support for this right now. I can accept that answer.
Do you know the worst thing I had with the Red Dragon pumps? And Elise is in the comments. You might remember this. So it turns out that the issue I was having with the Red Dragon pumps was that the Red Dragon pumps were actually, if I remember this rightly, the motor block was Royal exclusive, but the housing was outsourced to a company that had gone into administration several years ago, and you could no longer get the housing. So you get the motor block, but you just couldn't get the housing. So I was having the issue, and it couldn't get fixed because the company that make them on behalf of Royal Exclusive didn't exist anymore. So I was actually buying reef tax, going back to Jamie's conversation, something that would probably cost nowhere near what it should have costed.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was buying it through, I had to pay the reef tax to get what I was sold. But then I had an issue with it. I couldn't fix it, even though it took me nearly 2 weeks to get it sorted because the company I needed to fix it didn't exist anymore because it wasn't actually the original manufacturer's product. It was somebody else's. And when you've experienced little things like that, you start to realize, do you know what? I may as well just buy a $200 pump, have two on the shelf, and swap it.
I think that since our hobby is so small, actually many manufacturers for this hobby also very tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless what they claim to be, they're actually very tiny companies. So they probably put out some promise they cannot keep. So it's not when we think about some name brand, some big thing, we think about General Motors, Jeep, Chrysler, Toyota, Honda. No, it's not. You're talking about a mom and pop shop, slightly bigger than that down the road, that tiny. So those companies doesn't actually have the resource to fulfill a lot of things that we want them to fulfill.
Right.
Let me give you one example. Yeah. So my wife have a Jeep that is a hybrid. Okay. So the battery recall, they check it out, is fine. Now the battery has a lifetime warranty. And then the engine get recall, check it out, engine is fine, but the engine now has a lifetime warranty. So it takes those huge company, huge corporation to fulfill a lifetime warranty for a few vehicle, that kind of thing. So for example, that the manufacturer in this hobby, they simply does not have the resource that we imagine they should have to do this kind of warranty thing and keep things going. So that's why that by the end of the day, when we purchase equipment, we need to look at how big those company actually making the equipment. For example, let's say J-Bow, they put out cheap pump, right? But the company of J-Bow itself is bigger than Ecotech, AI, whatever thing combined. It's a big corporation. They make freaking everything under the sun, like including the whatever the many other name brand stuff. So when a company is big enough, they can make their product less expensive, and also you can still getting their product. Yeah, you won't get into that. Okay, the housing, that company who make the housing no longer exists. No, that kind of problem never exists for a larger company. But if a company only a few people, everything freaking outsourcing, of course you are relying on outsourcing company. Think about this way. Let's look at the fact is that how many company in this reefing hobby making equipment actually have their own factory?
Very few.
Just name, very few.
Right.
Almost none.
Right.
Almost none. Everybody's outsourcing, slapping the badge on some J-Bao pump. Seriously. Yeah.
Or
That
just
is
going to China, finding the manufacturer, and then giving your own custom diet setting.
Actually, that's what you should do.
That is where Deltec went downhill, wasn't it? Deltec used to be the creme de la creme of skimmers and pumps and stuff, and all the new Deltec stuff's got a Chinese pump on it, and it's not as good, right?
Yeah.
But you still pay Deltec prices for it, though.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Tax, Deltec tax.
Everybody, if you have enough sales volume, go there, make your own brand. They will customize to your liking, like the pool tank pump.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly. And what happened if the pool tank pump, the motor fell? Well, that J-Bao pump motor fit your pool tank pump motor. Problem solved.
Yep.
Question FM1 Reefer about LED lights with a lifetime warranty. What's your interpretation of a lifetime warranty?
What's whose lifetime?
Yeah,
that is the question. Who's the lifetime?
Yeah.
That's what he's put there.
Go away.
Whose lifetime
There
is
is no lifetime.
Yeah.
And also, lifetime warranty normally come with all these fine prints. Really. Yeah. Because that they can wiggle out of the warranty every way they can.
Yeah.
Lifetime of a mosquito.
You made a really good
lifetime.
point, Don.
Yeah.
You made a really good point about like the size of a business and the price. And I really do think that that's something else too, is when smaller businesses, you almost kind of like pay like boutique prices, they're because I know our cost here is sometimes, like we might have a higher cost in things. We do have, higher quality because I try to search for I put a little bit more back into it. But, it's more that, it is a small business. It is, I don't have huge margins to work on. So therefore my price is my price. Whereas I can't bring in, 20 Apexes and then hold that in my store and justify having, that much money tied up. I would have to essentially drop ship or have 3 on hand. It's just, so yeah, the support does go down to an extent. I think that goes back to the customer service too on, if they are smaller, then they need to work that much harder to provide the customer service or to get the support and know where you're getting your product, how that's going to be supported. You're not going to have your customer just get something from you and be like, well, it's broken. Can't do shit about it now. So
customer support is highly related to the company size as well. Let me give you one example. Life Aquaria in US. Life Aquaria used to be when it was owned by Dr. Fawcett Smith. He has so many customer service agents. You call them, you got the warranty, whatever, taken care. And after Petco bought them and then sold them to some sort of God knows who right now, and you just you call them, you hang on the phone for 2 hours, you probably won't even get answer. I did that. I called them 2 hours on the phone. Eventually, they hang up on me.
They knew it was you.
I think people don't realize customer service is a full-time job. The amount of time that you literally, because I laugh, between my wife and I tell people on live, I'm like, at any given time, I got 10 to 20 unread messages across 5 different apps. And I get back to people. I feel so bad, but it's true. If people, it's like a running joke now, but I'll get back to people 1, 2, 3 days later, a week later sometimes. And she's much better than me because she's more actively in the customer service, but she's on her phone all day and all night. And it really is. It's a full-time job, and
it is.
We're at that point we need somebody to do it, but I can't afford to pay somebody to do it as a small business. So
just for the
worst part is that
That is true because Cheryl never replies to us for 3 or 4 days. So.
Yeah, and the worst part, because this hobby is so niche, we cannot even outsource customer service to another country.
Yeah. I'm guilty about that on the live too. You guys are always having a conversation, and I'm like, it's funny because I hear ding, 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 and I'll go through and I'll read really quick, and then I go back to a project, and it's 20 messages later, and I'm like, I am so lost in here right now.
Yes. So we were meant to be. We were talking about reefing bad. I think we've done quite a lot of reefing bad. I actually feel, gentlemen, I don't know whether you agree, that there's got to be a podcast on reefing good. That's due.
Oh yeah. We should do a reefing good.
It's supposed to be today. It's supposed to end on a high, but
we're 2.5 hours in. I'm going to wrap us up now. I think we're going to be following this episode up with a reefing good. For those of you that have tuned in, thank you ever so much for those of you that have. The 50, 60, nearly 70 of you at one point have tuned in across the world. Thank you very much for supporting the network. So yes, we have some guests in the pipeline, some new guests, some fresh faces for the network that you haven't seen before. Different species of course to talk about as well, which should be exciting. A few quizzes as well. Once aka Onion pulls his finger out of El Arsehole and sorts out the questions and prizes. But there's plenty more up for grabs. Tell you're going to be throwing something in the mix for the guys in the States, aren't you? As always at Putang. Dong, there's always an Amazon voucher from Acro Gardens, isn't it? Up for grabs at some point, I'm sure. Yeah. Or maybe a used T-shirt, maybe used underpants of some kind. Maybe people want to pay more for that. Who knows?
Socks.
Just say.
Remember, Dong, you can sell used socks for good money.
Well, actually, now I have a grandson, so maybe use diapers.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. Right. Anyway, here we go. That's the end of it. We will catch up with you all soon. Thank you ever so much. Like I said, to all of you that have tuned in wherever you are in the world, have an amazing weekend, whatever you're up to. We will see you all soon. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. We'll see you all shortly. Have an amazing weekend. Love to you all. Take care for now. Bye bye.